Step up your creativity now during Dell's Black Friday event with savings up to $400 off, including deals on the latest PCs with Intel Core processors, shop laptops, monitors, and more, plus free shipping. Call 800-BY-DELL. That's 800-BY-DELL.
Hooped. And there we go. Good job, Dave, for saving the day. Richard Elmore, nice to see you. And who else do we have? Millennium. It's always Millennium time around here. Jay Foxhunter, nice to have you here. And who else do we have? Let's see here. Scrolling on down. Todd Purden, Project Blue Book. Nice to have you here. Mark Fountain, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. And we're going to run out of time here, but that's okay. Glenn John McEnroe, the pride of Wimbledon, is here, everyone. And Fidgety Aura, good to see you. And Gordy, I'm nice to have you here. Swamp Dweller, my man, how are you? Apollo, thank you for another super chat. That's just wonderful. Really appreciate that. And Blue Chicken, surprised you're here. All right, Noble Patrick, nice to see you. And there's Alien Girl, welcome to the show. And Anonymous Rex, nice to have you back. Enzo, good to see you. $5,900. And let's see if we get it. A couple more here. Anonymous Rex. And who will be the final one? Ian Herndon, you got the final call. Super Chat is open. Horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old baby the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We have an excellent roundtable tonight as it's time to take a look at the month that was in the weird, strange, supernatural, and ufological. UFOs really dominated this past month, and it's been absolutely insane with the news that has gone on, especially out of Washington, D.C. Tonight we are joined by Nicole Sakich. She is with Grant Cameron as a researcher, as well as an author. We have Chad Smith, yes, the Chad Smith, making his roundtable debut. Sonny from Paranormal Chop Shop, and our good friend Jim Goodall. And I'll tell you, the best researcher in the world when it comes to aircraft and aviation. Michael Schratt will be joining us maybe a little bit later as well. Everyone, welcome to the panel tonight. Always a pleasure to have all of you here, and let's kick things off right off the bat. We got a huge bunch of news this past month regarding UFOs. We heard a new politician stepping on up. We heard of the military kind of firing back. I'm telling you, Jim Goodall, in all of your years in covering UFOs and the government and everything in between, have you ever seen the start of the, in my opinion, the war of words between the military-industrial complex in the United States and the politicians, and it's all over UFOs?
If you'd have said something like a year ago or 2 years ago that would be the primary subject of conversations in D.C., I'd have said, hey, can I smoke some of the stuff you're smoking? Because it's nuts. I've been doing this for 50 years, and there's been more coming out and more excitement from the powers that be in the last 2 years than it has been in the last 50. So I just hope it continues. I hope it gets more intense. And my doggie is here. Anybody want to see my doggie? Her name is Scarlet.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah,
our radio audience can't see her, but she's a lovely German Shepherd.
Yeah, she's a rescue. She was a feral dog. We figured that she was on her own from the time she was a puppy until she was about 1.5 years old. And Maricopa County, which is Phoenix, their animal control people picked her up 4th of July last year in 2020. And she didn't know anybody. She didn't know any commands. She wasn't housebroken because she was feral. So we adopted her in November 7th of 2020.
Good for you.
She is the sweetest girl in the whole wide world. She doesn't answer to a name. She doesn't know how to fetch. She won't come back when you call her. And she's sort of broken, but we absolutely love her to pieces. And she is just the sweetest little girl.
Beautiful.
My wife, Rosemary, said when I was I've been looking for 15 years to get another German Shepherd. And she said, "Well, there's just a dog." I said, No, they're not just a dog. They're German Shepherd dogs.
Yes, they are.
You can like dogs, but you can't love them. And that lasted for about 15 seconds. She gets down on the floor and she talks to Scarlet, and then she rubs her Scarlet's tummy, and Scarlet absolutely loves Rosemary. So, and vice versa. And if we had to pick, she had to pick between the dog and me, I probably would come in second. Yeah. So, but no, I think the amount of information that's coming out, it's fascinating. I want to see where it goes. I know when I talked to Bob Lazar, when Tucker Carlson made the announcement that the federal government was admitting that we're being visited by craft not made of this earth, and then someone else from the government said the same thing, and I called up Bob Lazar. He was all excited, and then he said, "Well, no, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop because this is not going to continue." And sure enough, they backed off on it, and they sort of started hemming and hawing whether or not that they really wanted that stuff to get out or not. So
it is amazing times, and I'm going to bring in some other people from the panel here, Uncle Jimbo, as we continue on. Chad Smith, I mean, I know you're relatively new to everything that's going on, but I mean, hell, you're Chad Smith. You were like royalty around here,
for whatever reason.
We don't know. But when you take a look at the UFO story that has been going on recently, how do you feel about this whole idea that, in my opinion, and many others now in the UFO world, including Grant Cameron, I know Nicole is kind of on the same page as well, and Grant said it just a couple of nights ago, regarding we've never seen the military and the politicians butting heads over anything. Usually when the military asks for money in the United States, the government says how much. But now when it comes to UFOs, we're actually seeing a little bit butting heads. The politicians are saying, we want to know what's going on in our airspace, not just military airspace. And the military is like, no, you civilians, we got this. We got this. I mean, this is unprecedented.
Yeah, I've never heard of, well, obviously I haven't really been into this for very long, but I've never heard of anything like that happening between two sections of the government like that going. You'd think that they would just get along and they'd have all this figured out. And when you're growing up and reading all this stuff, you just assume, oh, they have our best interest in mind and they've got it all figured out. It's the government. But the more you dig into this and find out that this has been going on for so long and the cover-ups have been going on for so long, and now it's between two government entities, it's like, I'm not really sure. You don't really know what's going to happen, but yeah, I just don't know what else to say about that part. But
this is where you finish it off and say, "I am Chad Smith. I am Chad Smith."
I'll just throw out, "I am Chad Smith." That seems to get me through.
All right, Nicole Sackage, I want to bring you in here on this topic because you were just on a couple nights ago with Grant Cameron. And we got into this subject a little bit, I mean, because it was the news of the day. last
Right,
Wednesday.
right.
And, I mean, we were all kind of caught off guard. And, seeing on UFO Twitter, like, the jaws were dropped on UFO Twitter. Like, everybody was like, really? Because the Pentagon literally sent out a statement saying, we're setting up a new task force called the AOI MSG, which sounds like some bad spice for food. Okay? And literally, they basically told the politicians, stop debating this. We don't need to bring this into law. We're the military. We're the ones who protect this country. We got this handled. And the politicians were like, really? And UFO Twitter was like, you got to be kidding me. The military's trying to cut the politicians off and all the hard work that went into that. What are your thoughts a few days later?
Honestly, I think I'm proud of our community and those who spoke out so quickly. I think Grant brought up a few times, like if Lou hadn't have made his Twitter comment so early in the morning, that people would be excited about this news from the Pentagon, thinking, oh, this is a big move. But it was, I loved his statement that he made because it's the truth. These are the same people who have been giving us the runaround, telling us this isn't anything, nothing to look at, nothing to take seriously. It's also the same group that have just ignored experiencers or made us look like lunatics on purpose. So tread cautiously. I think the good part is, like we brought up before, this is another entity, another government body that we can now make our lists on, check it twice, bug, hold accountable, ask questions of. But when you compare it to Gillibrand's amendment and just knowing that that's in our Congress before us, the people that represent us, and it is so inclusive of not only our military, but other countries and civilians. So to me, I don't, if they were on the scales, I think one's tipped in our favor already. So I think it's the last ditch effort for the Pentagon to control everything that they still want to control, because they know from 2004 or 2017, the cat's out of the bag.
All right, from Paranormal Shop, we bring in Big Bad Sonny Conway here. And Sonny, I know you're kind of, just jumping into the foray of everything we call ufology, but an outsider looking in, how are you feeling about this support that is going on regarding UFOs?
I feel like they have to come up with some kind of answers now, because like Dave says, guys, I'm new. But they have to come up with some kind of answers now. For me, seeing like your show, Dave, with your guests, even your chat room, even your fans, they've seen so many things, and so many people are talking about it now. Like me, I seen some stuff, guys, and I wouldn't say anything about it. I was too embarrassed. And then once I found UFO Garage, they got me out of that to where I wasn't so embarrassed. They brought me on their show. I told my story, and I thought, everyone should know. Everyone should know. So now that more people are coming out like me and telling their stories, and you have Dave, radio hosts like this that are letting us tell our stories, they have to have some kind of answers now. It's not just a few people anymore. So even like you said, the military, politics, everybody has to have some kind of answer. Like if they're spending the money on investigating UFOs, then like you said, they have to tell us where that money's going. It's our money they're spending.
Well, they've been hiding it for years. That's the big problem, Sonny, as you all know. I mean, they have an unlimited checkbook. It's a checkbook that we would always want, and I believe the United States spends more on the military in 1 year than the next 28 or 29 countries combined. I mean, it's something that is very profound for the American taxpayer. But when it comes to UFOs, Sonny, and I'll stick with you on this one, when you take a look at the money that's being spent, I mean, to me, it looks like the military is saying, whether it's the Navy, the Air Force, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, that we don't want the technology getting into the hands of anybody else. We need this technology. We want to play with their toys first. And that's what the military-industrial complex is all about. And that's what makes it dangerous, my man.
Yeah, it's definitely who can. Well, for me, I think that's all the cool stuff we have, I think, has been reverse engineered. I think at some point we came across something really high tech. There's no way we could have jumped with our technological jump in the last 20 years, from just 20 years before that. Look how slow it was. Now it gets faster and faster and faster. We get better and better stuff. And we couldn't have just came up with all that stuff by ourselves, like cell phones, and I can make phone calls from my watch. It's like Star Trek, guys.
Like Dick Tracy.
Yeah, that kind of stuff is what I'm talking about.
All right, Jim, let's bring you in. James Goodall here, legend in the UFO world and in the aeronautics world. This is a man who was the first civilian to ever photograph the F-117 stealth fighter back in 1989, and I remember that photo coming in. But, Jim, I mean, like you said, you've heard the rest of the panel kind of speak up here about the military-industrial complex. Are we starting to see something kind of break down here regarding the camaraderie between the politicians who are writing the open checkbooks and the open checks to the military, and the military who's, maybe trying to flex their own power on a democratically elected society?
Well, the military, whether it's it's usually the Air Force more than anything else, but they're very protective of their toys, and they see the UFO, UAP, flying saucers, whatever you want to call it. They see those are their toys, and that's the technology that they want to incorporate into future weapon systems and whatever. So to have to have politicians trying to play with it or influence it is just muddying up the water, and they want them. They want them out of here. I don't want any politicians sticking their nose in our business. If we want to develop a ray that will blow up the world, then we're going to do it, and we don't need any politicians telling us we can't do it. So it's always been a game of this is my ball. I'm going to play. We're going to play with. We're not going to play the game if you're not going to use my rules. I'll take the ball away and go home. And that's what they're telling the politicians. Is keep your nose out of this. It's something that you don't understand. It's something that's beyond what you have the capability of really formulating any type of strategy over. That's what we do. You guys spend the money. You push the social justice stuff, and we'll deal with technology. You keep your hands out of there. You give us the money we ask for, we'll get the job done. But don't come in and try to tell us what to do or what we can or cannot do.
Well, so I think, and that's the big thing, Jim. And I want to continue on with you on this because, I mean, the American military has always been very loud and very proud and boisterous about having the fanciest and latest toys to play with. Very expensive toys. And before we bring in John Hudson here, my friend, for you and the people that you know regarding this subject, I really noticed that with that press release the other day that they were once again pushing this threat narrative, that you need us to take this on because this is a threat. It could be Russia. It could be China, after months of Russia and China being eliminated from the conversation. And now all of a sudden this press release comes out from the Pentagon stating Russia and China again and other adversaries, foreign or otherwise, that we have to protect the Americans from.
As I don't believe that any alien society, alien invaders, however you want to classify them, if they wanted to destroy the Earth, that they wanted to take over this planet, if they can go across the universe in a blink of an eye, if they can go 400 miles an hour underwater, if they can go 3,000 miles an hour in a straight line, they make a sharp 90-degree turn without, having the occupants squished up against, the outer wall. They have the ability to do whatever they want against our weapons. So I have never seen the UFO community, aliens, to be a threat. It's not wars of the world. It could come to that someday, but I don't believe that aliens were going to be using their advanced technology to destroy or to control us.
All right.
I think it's just a fallacy. I think they're observing us, and they're really getting disgusted at what they're seeing. But I don't think. There's been videos of, I guess they were testing a Minuteman missile, intercontinental ballistic missile out of Vandenberg, and it had a dummy warhead, but it had all the same electronics that a nuclear warhead would. And a UFO was flying around it, zapping it, and all of a sudden, the ICBM decided to go off course, and they blew it up. So I think they have stopped us destroying the planet with nuclear weapons. I think that's their biggest fear. And there's been all sorts of reports of unknown aerial phenomena over.
Rocket Pro Insight makes it easy for real estate agents to help clients strengthen their offers with a verified approval, giving you the power to adjust the approval letter amount. Sign up today at rocketpro.com/real estate.
Offer cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. MLS ConsumerAccess.org number 33.
Brought to you by Noggin. Need a little extra help building your child's math and reading skills? Their favorite characters from Nick Jr. shows like Paw Patrol, Bubble Guppies, Blue's Clues, and Blaze are here to help.
Let's get to work!
And they're in Noggin, the smart and fun learning app, where activities are designed to grow the skills your child needs to succeed in school and in life.
Fabulous!
What's even more fabulous is that you can claim a limited time holiday offer of 99 cents a month plus taxes for 3 months by visiting noggin.com/iHeart. Start your free trial today. $7.99 a month plus taxes until you cancel after free trial ends. Visit noggin.com for terms and conditions.
Missile silos in the Dakotas and in Wyoming and Montana, and they're not interconnected, but on one particular event, these craft were shut down an entire missile wing complex. I don't know if it was Grand Forks or out of Ellsworth or wherever it was, or Francis E. Warren, but it affected all their sites, and the sites are usually 3 silos in 3 or 4 locations, and that would be a squadron or a wing of a missile wing, and everybody associated with that network of silos, they lost communication, and they were unable. If they had to launch a missile, they were unable to launch one, because whatever it was that was sitting over the sites decided that they were going to shut them down, and there was nothing they could do about it. And again, they weren't interconnected, so like they weren't like dominoes where one went down, then the other ones just follow suit. This was a coordinated effort to shut them down. Period.
Very true. John Hudson, we got 1 minute to go before we got to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. Do you think that this was the start of the big argument between the military-industrial complex and the United States government regarding UFOs?
I think it's part of the continued debate. And this is them throwing more fodder into the mix. This is them drawing some guidelines that they can dance around. I think it was a little bit of a lazy approach to politics on their behalf, but I don't think it was at all surprising, and I don't think it's necessarily a terribly discouraging thing either. I think it's very much it's very much kind of expected behavior these days. it's considered covering your own butt.
It really seems to be that way. As we continue on here with the roundtable tonight, we got a good panel tonight. We do. We got Nicole Sackich, researcher and author. James Goodall, 50-plus years of research. And he's a great author, too. 75 books, I believe, he's got out now. Maybe 100. Maybe one for every year he's been on the planet. I'm not sure. Chad Smith.
No, I'm not that prolific. Yeah.
Chad Smith, the Chad Smith. And, of course, Sonny Conway from Paranormal Chop Shop. John, the UFO man, wearing his beautiful fedora. We'll be back with more Spaced Out Radio when we return right after this. So stay tuned, everybody.
Oh, wrong finger.
All right, we're clear. We're clear.
Hey, space travelers.
Dave,
this is John
songs
Wesley,
you're playing.
founder of the Chive and Chive
Songs
charity.
playing here.
If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous
I didn't hear it for
cause.
the intro.
Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thorne, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural.
She was our.
You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops,
And I can't imagine anybody letting
even
her
check
go.
out some of the hot sauce.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to just quickly reboot this. Hold on. I'm trying. We have no music sound on StreamYard, so I'm trying. I think I may have got it figured out here.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything, but when you were doing your intro, it wasn't playing any music.
It was going through to Spreaker.
Spreaker, okay.
Yeah. So
I had it pulled up on YouTube on my phone and didn't hear anything.
yeah, that's okay. What on yeah. So I'm hoping that this comes out. Give me 2 seconds here. Let me get caught up in the chat room. I'm still way behind in that. Felipe Ferrero, how are you, buddy? Thanks for coming on in. Who else do we have that's come on in early here? And Jenny, thank you so much for that super chat. Really do appreciate that, Jenny. Gorgeous Jenny. She added us on TikTok today. Love it. All right. Marvin Dale Lincoln Jr., welcome to SOR Chat. And Harley 492, the Chad Smith, he says. Look at that. The Chad Smith.
What's up, Harley? Good to see you. Jazz, you got your homework done, bud?
Oh, I doubt it. He's cheating. He's going to wait till Sunday.
He's got someone else doing it for him, I bet.
Kronos, welcome to the channel. How are you? I think I'm almost caught up here. Almost. Yeah, we're going to get the music thing figured out. Hey, Zero Cool, thanks for coming on in. Lee Poping, how are you? All right. So I'm just going to play something here, and you guys can tell me whether you hear it or not. Oh, I don't want that one. Hold on. Let's just go right. No.
We're still not live, right?
No, we're not live yet.
All right.
But live for YouTube,
Hey,
but
I had a guy message me earlier, Chad. I sent you the messages. That's a guy that I met here in Pismo. He said something about Stephen Greer and CE5.
Yeah.
It's in your text messages. And he wanted to know if I wanted to be part of it. And I told him if I did, you were going to be part of it too. So,
oh boy,
you got to
figure out how to get on an airplane.
if you can, if you can do it on the cheap, try it. But just be careful what you buy into.
No, I'm not buying him anything. It was just an offer.
Hey, Chad, can you hear that on the YouTube side? Sorry, guys. I was trying to get this figured out here.
No, I don't hear anything on YouTube.
Just wait, because there's a delay.
I just heard you say.
All right, so that's not
figured out.
Through. All right. So let's go options.
Oh, the chat's definitely letting us know too.
Yeah. Audio codec, all speakers, no split. Hey, Phil, thank you so much for that super chat. Really appreciate it. Guys, on YouTube, you may have to bear without music tonight. We're still trying to figure out everything. We're lucky we have, to be honest with you, we're lucky we have a show tonight, considering we were here until about 2:30 in the morning, trying to get everything hooked up. So bear with us. There's going to be some technical stuff that we're going through, but we'll get everything sorted out going on forward here. So the main thing is we'll get it sorted out. Apollo ×2, Chris, Thomas, Chad, Swampy, Willie ×2, Swampy again, Jenny and Phil, thank you for the super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So we're going to go right here in a second with the second half hour of the Roundtable. Here we go, everybody. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on tonight with the Roundtable. We're joined by John Hudson, the fedora-wearing UFO storyteller, Sonny Conway from Paranormal Chop Shop, Nicole Sackage, Grant Cameron's assistant researcher and author, James Goodall, and the legendary Michael Schratt. Yes, I love Michael Schratt. I'm telling you right now, every time I see Michael Schratt, I literally fangirl. I totally fangirl over him. I do. And I'm not afraid to tell him either. And Chad Smith, how you doing? I got to say this. Anytime we could get Michael Schratt on this show, I feel like a small kid waiting for their hero's autograph. I do. Totally do.
I gotta say, personally, seeing the two of them just hanging out together in like one of their living rooms, it kind of gives me the chills. It's kind of like, wow, like that's like, you know.
It happened in San Francisco a couple years ago at UFO Con, where James Goodall, Michael Schratt, Ben and Joe from UFO Garage, and myself, we partied hard together. Hard. Very hard.
The whole time Ben and George are like pinching themselves going like, we're going to wake up. I know we're going to wake up. There's no way this is real.
I know. It was totally like that. Totally like that. Okay, topic number 2 of the night here on the Roundtable. We're going to have some fun with this one. Okay, because I want everybody, if you haven't heard this story, I want everybody to get a good laugh in. All right? So we all know the Jim Bakker show. All right? The televangelist who literally will beg for money, and if you don't give him money, including a good portion of your savings, you're going to hell when you die. Okay, that's pretty much how it is. Well, there's a story coming out of his show. I'll read this to you. Hold on 1 second here. Excuse me. So he brings on this lady named Sharon Gilbert. Okay, she's all about the end times prophecy, making sure that we scare people as much as possible so we can get their money. So this is what she says. All right? End times preacher Sharon Gilbert says that the alien that visited her in her bedroom imitated her husband, then tried to have sex with her, and then it claimed it was this being called Xerxes, and then Jesus got involved, and then the alien turned out to be a reptilian with a posse of gargoyles. Yep, Gilbert claimed that one night after she and her husband got married, that this other Derek, who looked like her husband, appeared in their bed. The real Derek was lying down next to me, she says. Other Derek sits right up out of him. She says, it startled her. That was not her Derek. No. So she asked this critter what its deal was, because clearly the alien wanted to have sexual relations. You know, she says you'll have to watch a clip to find out what happened. You can find it on the Jim Baker Show. But yeah, it looked like it was halfing creatures between aliens and gargoyles. Chad Smith, you're a good guy to start on this one. Let's go to you here.
Let's see if I have anything to add.
You can't make this up. You cannot make this up.
Yeah, that's a pretty bizarre story. I'm Chad Smith.
You couldn't have, that was probably the best sentence ever said on this show right now. Ever said. All right. John, you look like you want to say something here.
It's what's so hard is that, these stories, they don't help any of us. They really don't. But when I'm going to miss them when they're gone, because they're such beautifully fun stories to tell people and to read when you're stuck in line at the supermarket, and those tablet things. But like that, what the problem is that what portion of what she said is true. Some portion is real. Some portion is based on something real. Some portion is based on some experience that she had, or an experience that someone very close to them had, right? How much of it is and how much of it is her spinning of it. And oh boy, I don't even want to touch that. I have no idea. But wow, what a I'd love to get a third part. I'd love to hear what her husband thinks, because he was evidently there for some of it,
Well, he was asleep. Let's get Jim Goodall in on this, because if there's anybody who's going to have a say about reptilians, aliens, gargoyles, and old Jesus himself, it's Jim Goodall. Hold on, we got you on mute here. Hold on, Jim. There you go.
Yeah, I want Michael Schratt to take that one. Yes.
I was going to say a minute ago, I thought you scared Michael Schratt off with your question, Dave. I was like, oh, they started talking about alien hybrids in bed, and Michael Schratt goes running off the screen.
Yeah. No, he had to fill his hollow leg. For a guy that is as skinny as this guy is, he ate 3 times what I ate last night for Thanksgiving.
Okay.
I mean, I had one plate, and that was all I could finish. And I think he went back at least once, maybe twice after that with a full plate.
Wow.
So,
must be nice.
But I think Michael should answer that question about the aliens visiting that lady at night and having sex with her. I mean, I've been accused of that many times, but
being an alien, or
yeah.
I think that one's out of my league.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah. No, I mean, and again, like Chad's, I think it was Chad has just said it, that off the wall statements from people in this community don't do anything positive for the for the better, for the greater good. I mean, you start talking, well, I had an alien reptilian come in and, into my room in the middle of the night pretending to be my husband, and then he wanted to have sex with me. Well, the question is, did she have sex with him? If so, was it really good? Was it alien good? Or was it just typical, oh, you're waking me up? I'm sorry. So I don't know. This is
the problem. This is exactly the problem. Is it, and a lot of those are actually scientifically legitimate questions to be asking. Not questions I want to be asking, let me tell you, but it's legitimate questions to be asking, right? I mean, it's like, and the thing is that, you contrast this, you want to bring Jesus into it. You contrast this with some of our ancient, mythology, and it was very normal for Greek gods to show up appearing as the looking like the queen or the king of a country, and having sex with that person and basically screwing up bloodlines within those legends, right? So it's like, it's not like there isn't like any kind of precedent for this sort of behavior.
No, I did it
right?
I did it for decades. So
All right, Sonny Conway, let's get you in here.
Man, that one's a little crazy.
Well, of course
that one could just maybe be like roofied communion wine and a little too much of it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about Baker's house. He's done a lot of bad things. Maybe he is swinging with lizards. You never know.
Swinging with Lizards here on Spaced Out Radio. Nicole Sakic. I know you had
the name of my podcast, by the way. That's my new podcast name, Swinging with Lizards.
That's right.
It at least needs to be a T-shirt.
You can't make this up. Jim Baker is doing it again. Don't forget, the world is coming to an end, so buy his bucket full of food for $300. It'll last you 10 days, and the bucket will last 10 years. All right, Nicole, let's get to you.
Oh, well, I'm going to take a hard swing in the other direction with this.
No.
I mean, no. I don't know if we want to call it the Grant Cameron effect, or since I've been on Spaced Out Radio over the last few years, I'm really comfortable with my woo hat on. But, we often talk about how there's so many similarities between the paranormal and the spiritual world and ufology. And honestly, I laughed at this when I first saw it because it's Jim Baker's show. And I immediately flashed back to like Tammy Faye wearing like big hair and makeup and of course all the controversy. But after I got my giggles out of the way, I have actually talked to quite a few experiencers who have encountered reptilians. And they are very scary at first. And another thing that I've kind of taken note about them over the years is that a lot of them are described as being very kind of sexual beings. Like they are interested in that. So whether or not she went through with it, to say it's good or bad, who knows? But that is an interesting fact. But another thing that I did like about this is how she said, fake Derek sat up out of Derek. And that reminded me of like an out-of-body experience. Was she seeing another consciousness or Derek's consciousness? I mean, if this is reflective of who you are, is Derek reflecting?
You picked up on something really good. Like that was a good thing to pick up because I'm with you. I think that's what she saw. But what I loved was that she was so comfortable. Oh, please, no. Okay, please, go ahead, please.
Okay, but the other thing that I was going to say is sitting up out of bed, and she also called him out, and she was like, "Who are you? You're a liar." And then that's when he went to Xerxes. I'm another person. Right. And then she even invoked Jesus, which a lot of experiencers do try to call out their beings, and they do change form on them. And the other thing I thought was interesting is when she invoked her higher power, which was Jesus, it left. So you hear that often with experiencers. They tell orbs to leave and they leave, or they call them in and they come. So it's not as out there in this woo world as we think it is. Nope. And I think it's great that it's coming from a super Christian source. So I think it lends credibility to some cases. Now you can go, John.
No, honestly, I don't even. Something you said just triggered something. I don't remember what I was going to say.
From the company that brought you Rocket Mortgage comes Rocket Pro Insight, the innovative product designed to give real estate agents control like never before. With Rocket Pro Insight, agents have full visibility into the loan status of each of their clients, so agents can stay informed on their clients' activity throughout the process and help them compete against other buyers with a verified approval. Plus, agents have the power to adjust a client's approval letter amount in real time. With the document upload feature, Rocket Pro Insight gives real estate agents the freedom to check a client's progress from anywhere at any time. They'll be able to send files on their client's behalf so they don't have to let paperwork hold up the process. That means agents can help their clients clear mortgage roadblocks and close on time. Sign up today at rocketpro.com/real estate and take your real estate business to new heights.
Call for terms and details. Equal housing lender. Licensed in 50 states. NMLS number 3030. Verified approval only valid on certain 30-year purchase transactions.
Brought to you by Noggin. Need a little extra help building your child's math and reading skills? Their favorite characters from Nick Jr. shows like Paw Patrol, Bubble Guppies, Blue's Clues, and Blaze are here to help.
Let's get to work!
And they're in Noggin, the smart and fun learning app, where activities are designed to grow the skills your child needs to succeed in school and in life. Fabulous! What's even more fabulous is that you can claim a limited time holiday offer of 99 cents a month plus taxes for 3 months by visiting noggin.com/iHeart. Start your free trial today. $7.99 a month plus taxes until you cancel after free trial ends. Visit noggin.com for terms and conditions.
But I just, it's so hard because, there's such a giggle factor to all of this, and it would have existed even without all those years of tabloids. It would have existed without all those years of X-Files. It would have existed without all those years of other, media, lambasting of the topic. I mean, because a lot of it's very difficult topics, right? But to me, this is like the big elephant in the room, in that essentially, everyone's talking about wanting disclosure and wanting, more public discussion and debate about this topic. And the thing that no one seems to want to really discuss is the fact that there's an aspect to all of this that the public doesn't want to talk about, and is unlikely to ever really want to talk about. Because no one really wants to talk about it. The only people that want to talk about it are the people that believe they've experienced it, and they just want to talk about it because they feel they have to, right? Because they experienced it and they have to get it off their chest, right? But no one else wants to talk about it, right? And for a lot of people, that's the biggest part of their entire experience or vacation package, right? Is that aspect of it, right? And so it's so for us to just be kind of living in this this kind of illusion of a propulsion and consciousness and kind of floating around in this lovely land for a while, and then we have things like this come up and we all laugh and giggle, and it's but you can kind of see some of the reality in it, and you realize that there is a reality to it. What that reality is in that one woman's case, I have no idea, and nor do I. No, I'm not going to say that. I don't know. And but there is the bigger problem of this is actually the big smoking gun. This is the big elephant in the room. This is like the whole hybrid program thing, that whole sexual aspect of this entire phenomenon is a really weird aspect of it that is a big part of it for a lot of people. And for some people, it's no part of it, but for a lot of people, it's the majority of it. And it's not something that, I think, I don't know. I think we're still pretty far away from Tucker Carlson talking about it.
Yeah, Nicole, I think you brought up some very good points. I mean, there is the sighting of an entity. There is sighting of extraterrestrials, something supernatural, maybe a near-death experience or out-of-body experience that her husband was having, or maybe a demonic entity within him that has latched on to his soul like an incubus should. Okay.
I watched the video from the article, and it was interesting because she did say when it came back, that's when, and there were these other smaller beings there, and I don't know what they looked like. Gargoyles, sort of. I don't know. And I'm like, were they little grays? That's the first thing I thought.
Oh, they had aliens. She's
and
got
then it
aliens.
cut off. So I've eaten too many crow sandwiches over the last 2 years to completely just laugh at this. So,
All right.
Yep.
Well, Chad Smith, final word.
Final word?
It's usually the way
Just
it goes.
did it.
To be honest with you, I'm not a whole lot read up on that news article that news thing that you were just talking about, but it does sound very crazy.
You were supposed to fill in with, I'm Chad Smith. You blew it right there. You blew it. All right, we're going to continue on with the round table here on Spaced Out Radio. We have a great panel tonight. And going back in time here, we're going to spend some time on this in the next half hour as well. Let's go to NASA. NASA, for years, has been denying claims about anything extraterrestrial, anything coming from space. We're all a bunch of lunatics for believing in this UFO stuff. They're the pros. They're not supposed to see anything. Or if they're not seeing anything, nobody should be seeing anything. And yet, here we are, Michael Schratt, here we are with Bill Nelson, the new head of NASA, just a couple weeks ago, mentioning the word extraterrestrials because he's seen the Navy videos. Is this precedent setting, my friend, in regards to having the head of NASA all of a sudden invoking the word extraterrestrials in his speech?
I think the one way to change all this would be to actually get to the physical evidence to move this field forward. Getting to the vaults at MacDill Air Force Base, Tampa, Langley Air Force Base, Virginia, and then Homestead Air Force Base, Florida. If you could get to those facilities, they could provide a lot more of the physical evidence that we're needing, and I think it would trump even what NASA has. So that'd be one way to actually move this forward.
Jim, how about yourself? Bill Nelson.
Well, this has sort of relates to Bill Nelson's comment. Is a couple years, I worked for the Museum of Flight in Seattle for 10 years. And my boss called me up one morning and said, "Hey, we need an extra body for a luncheon they're having over future flight, and I need you to go over there." I said, "Okay, fine." So I went over there and I found my name tag on the table. I sat down, and a few minutes later, this other gentleman sits down next to me, and I look at him, and I about fall off my chair. And I introduced myself. "Hi, my name is Jim Goodall." I says, "Yeah, I'm Buzz Aldrin." I said, "I knew that when you walked in the door." I said, "What's your feeling about UFOs?" And his eyes got really big, and he sort of turned his head and didn't say a word.
Good for you, man.
I asked the vice president general manager of the Skunk Works in June to his face in the back of a limousine. "All right, Jeff, what is Lockheed Skunk Works' involvement in UFO alien technology?" And
nice.
He responded to the fact that, and I believe him, that he has not been briefed on anything along those lines in his position. He said it doesn't mean it didn't happen in the past, but it may be so compartmentalized that I don't have any access to that information, and I don't have a need to know, even though I'm in charge of the most secretive aerospace company on the planet, the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works.
Yeah, but his only purview is what's under his purview, like current programs that still have budget items that fall in his jurisdiction. There's certain things that may drift in and out from outside areas that fall under his purview, depending on like a new version being spun up or an investigation into some part failure. But for the most part, these things are fairly confined, over certain periods of time. And if you weren't in leadership during that period of time, you don't have any reason to ever go back and look at that stuff.
Right. And stuff comes and goes. And just because it was here at one time, an example, the original Blackbird was built, paid for, and designed for the Central Intelligence Agency. That airplane was retired for 20 years before anything leaked out, the fact that the CIA had their own Mach 3 airplane. And I helped push some of that stuff out. But there are programs that have come and gone that, guys who have worked on them, they're sworn to absolute secrecy. And just because the program came and went, and now the program is gone, it's dead, it's buried. You don't have a need to know what happened back then. So Jeff, I think Jeff gave me an honest assessment of what he has been exposed to. Now, if it had been something he couldn't talk about, he would have said, "Hey, I can't comment," or "No comment," or he could have just shrugged his shoulders and not said a word. But he didn't. He said that he had not been read into any of those types of programs, but he did not deny the fact that they did or did not exist. It was just something that he didn't have a need to know. And that's the most important thing about a security clearance. And I had a above top secret clearance for 27 years, but I didn't have the need to know a lot of stuff, so I never had the opportunity to find out.
All right, but Jim, does this not, as we only got about 40 seconds left, does this not put a lot of pressure on the words of Bill Nelson for finally having the head of NASA talking about the UFO subject?
Well, yeah, but President Reagan mentioned the fact we're talking about SDI. He said that'd be would also be used to point outward to protect us from an invasion from alien beings from outer space. Yeah, and that was part of
that was hypothetical, though.
We don't know that.
As far as we know at the time when he went on record.
No, but SDI has had no opposition from any of the typical organizations and countries that would go after our weapons of mass destruction. The Russians were fully on board with it. The Chinese were. All of Europe was on board with it. So it was valid. And the fact that they had also, it wasn't an off-the-cuff remark by President Reagan. It was in his prepared speech.
Okay, hold that thought, panel. James Goodall, Michael Schratt, Chad Smith, Nicole Sackett, Sonny Conway, and John Hudson, a packed house here on the SOR Round Table. We will return on Spaced Out Radio with more talk about NASA, and then we'll introduce you to a gentleman named John Ramirez next. All right, we're clear.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother is Watching.
The official show, was it?
What's that?
Swinging with Lizards wasn't too R-rated for your show, was it?
Not at all.
Hey, he's Canadian.
Tell StreamYard to listener as the source, either through the sound card or through cable out. Okay, StreamYard.
And I'm glad I didn't have to comment on NASA. They just kicked me out of their chat room. I'm not happy with them now. Now I'm 100% in belief with Big Willie. The Earth is flat.
Yeah, you're banned now. You're banned from NASA chat.
All right. If I go like this shouldn't affect anything, I don't think. All right. Can you guys, Chad, can you speak for a quick second?
Testing 1 2 Chad Smith. Testing 1 2 Chad Smith.
Okay, can we just make sure that everybody hears Chad right now?
1 2 2 2 1 1 1 2 2. Testing 1 2
Yeah,
Chad Smith.
In the chat room. Sorry, Clam. I know you're in there. Can you tell me if you heard Chad or not?
Sounds like yes.
Okay, good. All right, so we got that. Okay, so if I go settings here, we're just trying to get the new audio going here. Make sure that everything is A-okay. I gotta get.
Yeah, you have to get a new board.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, I had another board, My big board that I like to show off, it's now a paperweight. One second, my tech guy.
We got like 1 minute though, right?
We have about 4 minutes.
4 minutes, awesome.
All right, my tech guy is coming in.
Yeah, I thought we had this figured out last night.
Well, we got the Spreaker part figured out, which is cool.
Yeah, we never tested YouTube. Forgot to do that.
Well, we could hear it though, like in our.
Oh, true. Yeah, we could hear it on Spreaker.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I'll know any second when Chuck gets into my system. How you doing, Michael Schratt?
Hanging in there. Doing good.
I was actually just going to contact you and see if you wanted to come back on, and then all of a sudden, everybody's got Michael Schrattitis right now, getting you on there, and that's my disease, man, my disease.
Hey, they don't come any better than Michael.
They do not.
No one does it. No one does the research he does, and he has it all at his fingertips. He has it, illustrated. We'd be lost without him.
I don't know.
You're not smoking a controlled substance, are you?
No, my name's not James Goodall.
Oh, okay. Hey, you should see in the 4 days when the Cousin brothers were at my house. That was nuts.
Oh, I bet the hippie lettuce was going crazy.
Oh God. Yeah, it sure was.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. You gonna have enough room there, Michael?
Thanks.
I love watching.
I'm Chad Smith.
Hey, Fabster, thank you so much for the super chat. I love watching my mouse go like. Ibarata, how are you, man? Jay, how are you? Welcome to our chat room.
I don't know if that will help any.
Ibarata, we have one listener in Singapore. It's our man, Ibarata.
There you go. Perfect.
Yeah, that works.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. We got 1 minute, guys. 1 minute.
Okay. Looks like Chad's gone to the dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, he always goes to the dogs. You can't trust him.
I thought Jonathan Davies was coming.
He's supposed to. I think he slept in. I mean, it's like 5 a.m. there right now.
Right.
I know. I would have liked his perspective on a lot of this. Really would have. 30 seconds. I want to say a big thank you to Apollo × 2, Chris, Thomas, Chad, Swamp Dweller × 2, Willie × 2, Jenny, Phil, John. We will get to your question, and Fabster for the amazing super chats. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And to all our new subscribers, thank you so much. We're just a few away from 14,000. Horns up. Here comes Bumblefoot, everyone. Mic's off, guys.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever we are. where on this planet called Earth. We want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, and I can't use my mouse right now because my tech is in my computer. So your password is Tractor. Tractor is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Here we go. We got the Paranormal Round Table going on tonight. Michael Schratt, James Goodall are here. Sonny Conway from Paranormal Chop Shop. Nicole Sackage, researcher and author from the Unbiased UFO Report, for the fedora-wearing John Hudson and Chad Smith. John, I want to start with you on this one as we continue on talking about NASA and Bill Nelson starting to use the word extraterrestrial instead of Russia and China as the obvious ones on the tic-tac technology. The other thing that he mentioned was that there are a heck of a lot more videos that he has seen than the 144 that had been presented in the original DNI report earlier this summer. So I'm curious, John, we have Bill Nelson coming out and using the E word, extraterrestrial, and saying he's seen more videos than what we were supposed to know.
Yeah, so I think it's fairly safe to say that he is currently enjoying the kind of the upper levels of knowledge, at least in the administration. I think that I think he went into NASA knowing that NASA had a range of where they were on this topic, and that he had a knowledge of maybe a range from here to here. And maybe he may not be able to get NASA as far forward as he is, but he may be able to get NASA, half as far as he is, sort of a thing. So, and I actually think there's a really, really good chance that one of the reasons why he was specifically selected was as someone who could help NASA take, 10, 20 steps forward. As far as truing up about this topic, but it's probably going to take more than one NASA administrator to do it. It's going to take some time, right? Because the thing is that the motivations for each one of those, whether you want to call them lies or mistruths or obscure, whatever you want to call it, it happened over decades, and so there's very good chance there was completely different motivations for most.
On December the 3rd, I tested positive for COVID. I was to the point where I really couldn't even walk.
She was admitted to the Tupelo Hospital. That's where she remained for 82 days.
That was the first time they told Reggie he could come see me.
I nearly lost my wife. I mean, that's real. There ain't no false information. And I don't want to see you lose a loved one.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
On December the 3rd, I tested positive for COVID. I was to the point where I really couldn't even walk.
She was admitted to the Tupelo Hospital. That's where she remained for 82 days.
That was the first time they told Reggie he could come see me.
I nearly lost my wife. I mean, that's real. There ain't no false information. And I don't want to see you lose a loved one.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
Lots of them, right? And so, it's going to take a while for people to, kind of tease it all apart and figure out what was said when and why and for what motivation and under whose orders. And it's going to take a while.
No, and I agree with that, John. It is going to take a while, and there has some trust that has to be made. I'll tell you what I didn't like about it, and this is what I would like to talk to with everybody on the panel here tonight. He's mentioning the U.S. Navy, he being Bill Nelson, the head of NASA, talking about the U.S. Navy pilots and how he's talked to Navy pilots, and I think that's wonderful. The guy's done his homework. A lot of the former astronauts have always been Navy pilots. There's always a big tie between the U.S. Navy and NASA. We always think it's the Air Force, but it really is, realistically, it's always been the Navy. And this is what troubles me about it. All right? He is talking about he's seen the videos from the United States Navy. I'm thinking, dude, you are the head of NASA, Nicole Sakic. You're the head of NASA. And you're worried about what the Navy is seeing? What about all of your fellow astronauts that have seen things in space? What about the Russian cosmonaut who earlier this year saw 5 lights in the shape of a boomerang and photographed it and videoed it from the International Space Station? What about the idea that somebody like Donna Hare, a former NASA employee, who watched people scrub photos of alleged bases and spacecraft from NASA photos that were brought out to the public? I mean, this is what's bothering me here. Like, check in your own closet here, Bill Nelson. Nicole, you're muted.
I will agree with the check for the skeletons in your own closet before you go on national television. But with that said, I do agree that some of this might be compartmentalized, and NASA may not even know what they have. I mean, if they're focused on their missions and this is stuff in the background, they might not necessarily even know what data they've already collected. So
I get you. I'm going to cut you off there for a quick second. I understand where you're going with that, but you're the head of NASA, Bill Nelson. Okay? You shouldn't be talking UAPs, UFOs, whatever you want to call them, except don't call them aliens because Demi will come after you. All right? What you have to you're the head of the biggest space program in the world. Give us some juice, man.
Yeah, he could have came out with his own video set, I think, And like you were saying, everybody seems to be interested in the Navy. Well, that's because the Navy's been in it all along from the very beginning. They've never not been in it. And they have crazy tech. So, yeah, I think everybody's interested in what they have, including NASA. But I don't know. I can cut him some slack, but it would have been great if he would have been like, look what we got outside of ISS. We don't know what it is.
Look, it's a ray gun.
I don't know. We don't want that footage.
Like, tell me where that damn Marvin the Martian is with his PU-36 space modulator. That's what I want to know, Sonny Conway. Okay, because to me, I think the stupidity of it all is Bill Nelson actually using the word extraterrestrial. Maybe I'm nitpicking here. Maybe I am. I just found it a little odd. Using the word extraterrestrial, these craft may not be from here, yet he's not checking his own program to see what they know, Sonny? I mean, is that not a little ignorant to go into a press conference and talk about the Navy when you run NASA? I don't get it. And the media didn't even respond to it. They didn't even play ball here. If I'm sitting in that press conference, I'm putting my hand up, Sonny, and I'm saying, hey, Bill, hey, Wilbur, whatever your name is, okay? How about them aliens you're covering up for? Have you checked in your own NASA closets? Am I wrong?
No, and I think also I learned recently NASA don't like questions. I jokingly put on their NASA chat, in their live chat, is the Earth flat? And I was kicked out.
Oh, yeah.
Out. I was kicked right out. So no jokes with NASA. But if you're going to go out there, like you said, you better have all your stuff covered because I've seen that. I know everyone's got to have seen that video where there's the little thing flying in and their NASA shot, and you see like a little laser come up and it turns and goes the other way. It's out of there.
I gotta find a good copy of that. That to me is one of that to me stands alone as one of the best, the single best videos I've ever seen of any unexplained phenomenon.
Somebody detail that video before we continue on here, because you can't drop how awesome a video is without explaining it to those who haven't seen it.
So do you know the details about it, Sonny?
Well, from what I see is it's a NASA shot of it looks like it's coming from a satellite, maybe a camera on a satellite. And in the background, in the far background, you can see this little light moving in, I want to say towards Earth. Okay, so it's coming down and moving in. It's not moving in towards the satellite. It's just moving across the sky in the background. And as it's coming down, you see a beam of light shoot up, a solid beam really fast. It shoots up from towards Earth and shoots towards this thing. And before the beam of light can get to it, it stops, changes its direction, and shoots out the opposite way from the beam of light. It actually runs from the beam of light that was shot at it. And it was shot directly at it. You can see it in the video.
And I don't care if you want to look at that video from the point of view of special effects student, you want to look at the video point of view of a raw physics student, you want to look at that in the point of view of a gravitation. Like there's so many different points of view you can look at that video, and they still all leave you going, huh? Like what? Like what did I just see? What was that? Right? Like, I mean, the energy levels that it would take to fire a beam from the surface of the Earth that high into the atmosphere, that it would be, that the energy level would still be, it would still be formed in a way and at a higher, that an object in space would be able to detect it and move out of its way and not just get like hit with a flashlight. I can't even imagine. Like that video blows my mind. I really want to know. I want someone to explain that video.
Maybe Michael Strader or James Goodall could explain it. Did you ever see that video, guys, regarding the laser beam coming from Earth?
All I would say is, since we're talking about NASA, and I don't want to change the subject too much here, but I think it's important to remember the testimony of astronaut Gordon Cooper. He was one of the original 7 Mercury astronauts. He was very outspoken, and he went all the way to the UN. You know, he did write a letter there. This was back in 1978. He had an attempted UFO intercept over a West German air base in 1951. He was involved in an incident at Edwards Air Force Base back in 1957 where, it's got to be one of the best cases ever. This is back in 1957. This is at Edwards Air Force Base. And they were filming the setting up of precision landing equipment on the dry lake bed there at Edwards. And about a 30-foot diameter dish-shaped craft hovered over the dry lake bed. The landing gear retracted out. It sat on the dry lake bed for about a minute and a half. Then it hovered about 20 feet above the lake bed. The gear retracted in. The craft took off, and they got it all on motion picture film reel. So the concept or the thought that NASA doesn't have any evidence, that film, they got this all from NASA's own cameramen. They got this all filmed on motion picture film reel. That film was brought back to Edwards Air Force Base. Gordon Cooper developed the film. It was put into a pouch. That pouch was handcuffed to an Air Force courier that came from Andrews Air Force Base. And at that point, it disappeared into this hidden vault that no one knows. So we know they have that film. It's an official U.S. government. You could call it, this is going to be a repository of one of many. They certainly operate on the principles of no single point failure. Because if there's a fire in one of these warehouses, they don't want to lose the other one. So where is that film? Jim was talking about the Arctic regions. There were, after World War II, they took B-29s. They filmed them. They filled them with high-resolution cameras. And going over the Arctic regions and over Antarctica, they filmed UFOs taking off from icebergs following the B-29, and these craft would lock themselves between the trailing edge of the main wing and the leading edge of the horizontal stabilizer within 20 feet of the fuselage of the B-29 with all the cameras clicking off. They have all that footage. Everything that Gordon Cooper had talked about, he had another sighting in 51 where he tried to intercept multiple UFOs that flew over the West German Air Base back in 1951. It was the meteorologists that pointed it out to the pilots. So where is that information? Also, just to continue on here, some of you might be familiar with a TV program called Cooper's Treasure. When Gordon Cooper was orbiting the Earth, he had a magnetometer on board the spacecraft, and he was clicking off photographs, and they were getting these hits in these photographs, these highlighted areas. And it turns out that a lot of these highlighted areas had a lot of iron material in them. So they were potential shipwrecks because Gordon Cooper was a huge adventurous guy, and they cataloged like thousands of these hits on there. So it was the first space-based treasure map ever devised in the world. And that's why they call this TV program Cooper's Treasure. Gordon Cooper, the last 3 to 5 years of his life, he was good friends with a gentleman named Daryl Miklos, and they were both treasure hunters. And about 3 years ago, I met with Daryl, and we did a 90-minute interview, and he laid out everything that Gordon Cooper told him before he passed away. And basically, he told me, now this is coming from Gordon Cooper. This is not coming from me. This is coming secondhand from Gordon Cooper. Gordon Cooper told Daryl Miklos, he told me that in 1983, the United States government landed on Mars. I can't prove that. He can't prove that. But this is what Gordon Cooper had told Daryl Miklos. And he said that the way they got there is they got there using the rebreather device from the movie The Abyss by James Cameron. That's how they got there. So these are just some of the things that Gordon Cooper had talked about.
Michael, I want to ask you in regards to this, if you don't mind, before we bring in James here. Sure. Do you believe then that somebody like Bill Nelson should be talking about these craft being otherworldly and extraterrestrials could be visiting here, especially when he is only pointing to the U.S. Navy? And I don't know if you were surprised, as I was, that during that press conference, not a single reporter asked him about what NASA knows or what's in NASA's box that they're hiding.
Yeah, I think we should go back to the Brookings Institute with the Brookings Report, early 1960s, and it said that during our discovery and exploration of the outer planets, if we ever came across any extraterrestrial artifacts, it would be in the best interest of the public to deny publication and never reveal that information to the public for fear of religious institutions crumbling. In a nutshell, that's what they were saying. So even in their own documents, they state they're not going to tell us.
That's very true. James Goodall, let's bring you in on NASA's.
Well, earlier we were talking about the United States Navy. Right after World War II, it was the Army that controlled all the technology, whether it be alien technology or just foreign technology. And then late in the late 1950s into the mid 1960s, that was taken back. That was taken from the Army and is now controlled by the Navy. That's why when Bob Lazar was employed out in the desert, and his W-2s were from a division or an organization within the United States Navy. And another thing that you're talking about, astronauts knowing and seeing things. Someone asked Story Musgrave when they were repairing the Hubble Space Telescope. He was out there for 5 hours. They said, "Well, what are you doing during that 5 hours?" Because the work was just a little bit here, a little bit there, waiting for stuff to do this or do that. He said, "I was looking for flying saucers. I was looking for or UFOs." I'm not sure exactly what the quote was, but you talk to these astronauts and you mention flying saucers and UFOs. They don't look at you as a kook. Sometimes they'll take the wind out of their sails because they know they really are not in a position, if they're still with NASA, to say anything. And I think...
does every astronaut, Jim, have to sign a major top secret non-disclosure agreement about UFOs? Because I once read a book years ago, like we're going back about 15 years ago, that stated that almost every launch of a NASA rocket or shuttle has been followed by UFOs.
I've heard a lot of them have been followed by UFOs. NASA, just by its charter, should not be dealing with anything that's classified. It's a public, open agency that's dealing with space and aerospace technology, and I think in their charter, I may be wrong. I've been wrong more than once in my life, but I don't think they're in a position to keep secrets. You're not supposed to have nothing that NASA does is supposed to be classified. There's organizations with the United States military and the Department of Defense and the spook agencies to deal with stuff like that. But as far as NASA is supposed to be a public, open agency without any access or dealing with classified information or classified technology.
You okay there, Jim? You didn't fall and break a hip, did you?
No.
Okay, just making sure.
Hey, I almost did at I was at Disclosure Con up in Pine Top here a couple months ago, and I'm giving a talk on how to snoop on our government in and around Area 51 without getting shot. And my laser pointer wasn't working very well, so I'm at the back of the platform. It's about 30 inches off the ground, and I'm pointing, and all of a sudden I disappear. I stepped off the back of it. And when you're 20 years old or 30 years old, people will laugh. When you're in your 70s, everybody goes, "Oh my God!" They all come running, and I just got up. I mean, I didn't bruise myself. I didn't hurt myself. I didn't pull anything. I got right back up on the stage and continue where I left off. And after I'd finished, I said to myself, God, I should have said, "Now that I have your attention." I mean, because literally they said I was there and then I wasn't. And it just really, it really shocked the hell out of some people. But and NASA's not supposed to have classified stuff. NASA's not supposed to do with any type of program that is classified, period. It's not in their charter. They're a public agency there to push the boundaries on aerospace, both space and aerospace. Yeah, that.
Third phase of Moon, guys. Hi, cousins, brothers. How are you? Thanks for listening on in. Yeah.
Hey, Blake, Brett, how's it going? It's good all.
Yeah. They say the problem with NASA is that sometimes they don't explain the anomalies, a.k.a. UFOs, that they capture on film over and over again, which is, I think, a very accurate comment. And thank you to Third Phase of Moon for jumping on in here and joining us with that great comment. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour here on Spaced Out Radio. And when we return, we're going to learn about a guy named John Ramirez. Former CIA, says aliens and hybrids are real, and that is the future of what we are going to be seeing. We'll learn more about this when we return on Spaced Out Radio. Nicole Sackage, John Hudson, Sonny Conway, Michael Schratt, James Goodall, and the Chad Smith, everyone. Spaced Out Radio returns right after this. Yeah, the Chad Smith. Like, you just can't make this shit up.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Becker, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And
yeah, can't make that up, buddy. Cannot make that up.
Hey, the cousin brothers spent 4 days here with me here in September. September? Yeah, whenever. It was a couple months ago. That is the I killed a lot of brain cells in those 4 days. Oh my God. We had a ball. Doc Skinner came down. John DeSosa only lives 2 blocks from me. And I wanted to, I didn't even know. I mean, I've known of John. I never met him personally. And then cousin brother said, yeah, well, he lives in Tucson area. I said, oh, really? Where? We're in Oro Valley. Well, that's where I live. And it turns out he's 2.5 blocks from my house. I can walk to it in just a few minutes. And it's just, we got another I am Chad Smith. Okay. So my brain just shut down for a second.
That's usually what happens when people see Chad Smith.
Yeah. Chad's a superstar. Okay.
Hey, we don't make Jim. We don't make the rules around here. We don't have that Chad Smith type power. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I don't follow rules, so that's okay.
He's never been a rule follower.
I'm lucky he lets me be his co-host.
Yeah, right. I'm lucky to have a co-host. Just don't ask me any hard-hitting questions.
I got to do this for Melissa, guys. Melissa, this for you. That
Melissa's giving me crap about my laugh the other day live.
Fall is a season of gathering that brings us together with warmth and color. So whether it's a birthday, anniversary, or a special event, celebrate your friends and family with a gorgeous bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. 1-800-Flowers makes it easy to find your reason and brighten someone's day with exclusive offers and great values on bouquets and arrangements. To order today, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/tune-in. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/tune-in.
Brought to you by Noggin. Need a little extra help building your child's math and reading skills? Their favorite characters from Nick Jr. shows like Paw Patrol, Bubble Guppies, Blue's Clues, and Blaze are here to help.
Let's get to work!
And they're in Noggin, the smart and fun learning app, where activities are designed to grow the skills your child needs to succeed in school and in life.
Fabulous!
What's even more fabulous is that you can claim a limited time holiday offer of 99 cents a month plus taxes for 3 months by visiting noggin.com/iHeart. Start your free trial today. $7.99 a month plus taxes until you cancel after free trial ends. Visit noggin.com for terms and conditions.
Guys, that's a private joke, but it's funny.
You probably deserved it. You probably
It's because I don't like dead air, so I'll just sit there and go, and she calls me out on it.
We're going to have to restart the show. The gorgeous and talented Kira has just arrived in the chat room, everyone.
Kira.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to have to look at this. Hey, all. Had work duties, had a long day, but finally home. There she is. The gorgeous
Good
Kira.
to see you, Kira.
Uh-huh. She goes down to the ESETI Ranch all the time at James Gilliland. She gets some amazing UFO photos there.
Big Willie's cracking me up. I said, for only $5, you can take my spot and be Chad Smith for a night. He said, I already sent you $5.
I'm going to have to
send him the link.
You're going to have to put a time limit on that for like 5 minutes or so, or less.
$5 for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Sounds good. $5 Canadian for 5 minutes.
Yeah, what's it? Two and a quarter US.
Hey, leave the Canadian peso alone.
Oh, okay. Hey, pretty soon ours not gonna be worth much more than a peso.
Dave, how much time do we have?
We have 2 minutes.
All right,
2 minutes. Chad Smith got to go poo quickly. Hi, Nicole Sackich.
You can always tell the new ones. They tell you when they're going to leave.
Right.
Just saying, hey, I'm out of here.
I always have stuff going on. My dog is still crazy. He'll make an appearance before the night's done.
And we want to give a shout out to PJ here. First time listening in. Swamp Dweller sent him over. Thank you, Swamp Dweller. Sending PJ over. By the way, we got some good stuff coming in for Mr. Swamp Dweller here very soon. Yep. That's all I'll say. Tim F., welcome to this channel again. God, this is a good crowd tonight. Great crowd tonight.
Well, look who you have on.
157.
Hey, we got James effing Goodall right
Yeah.
here. Yeah, and the other legend, Michael Schratt.
They don't come better than him.
No, I agree with you.
Chad's back.
I'm back.
Are we going to talk about India?
We will. We're going to get into John Ramirez first.
I've never been to India.
I received a couple of phone calls telling me that my packages in the mail were not very legal and that I was carrying, my packages were found to have cocaine, heroin, and fentanyl in them.
Sweet.
And then there was a warrant out for my arrest. Hold on. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. So please go there and hit subscribe as well. We're going to continue on with the SOR Round Table. We do it near the end of each month where we talk about the strange month that was in the weird, the woo, and the paranormal supernatural. Joining us tonight, Michael Schratt and James Goodall, two of the best historic researchers on aviation in the United States. We have Sonny Conway from Paranormal Chop Shop. Make sure you go hit subscribe on his YouTube channel. Chad Smith is here, the Chad Smith. You can hit subscribe on his as well. Nicole Sackage, researcher, author, playwright. You know, she does it all. And, of course, John Hudson, the fedora-wearing one who hosts on this channel. We have the unidentified, or make that unbiased, UFO report. John, I want to start with you on this one, if you don't mind, because about a week and a half ago, we did a story on John Ramirez. He is a retired CIA officer who is just getting involved in the UFO field, as your microphone's on mute. And now he is saying that we got to be prepared for alien hybrids and extraterrestrials walking among us.
Yeah, so just, you know, in full disclosure, you know, I'm in a small chat group with John Ramirez and a few other people, and so I've been talking to John for a couple months, and so I can't say that I know him really well or he's a friend or anything, but he's certainly a really nice guy who I've enjoyed several conversations with, and he, you know, a lot of his methodology seems to be around trying to see what he can get redacted. So he very intentionally, every slide he produces, he sends to CIA, and he specifically grades the content that he's going to send into the likelihood he thinks it's going to get redacted. And he pushes his limits. He likes to have a certain amount of content in every slide that he thinks is going to get redacted. And this last 2 times it's gone in, nothing's got redacted. And it's pissing him off, and you can tell. And so the fact that he has this kind of mindset, that he's trying to see how far up to the edge he can push, you know, without getting into trouble, and still get the serial numbers so he can, you know, cover himself if someone, you know, calls him out on the presentation he does, right? And the fact that I think that a lot of his motivation behind what he's doing is that he's had a lot of other friends who have had experiences themselves, either in or outside of work, who have no interest in coming forward because of the way they expected to be treated. And so part of what he's doing as well is trying to come out and saying, look, I'm coming out, I'm retired, but I'm coming out and I'm not being treated, too badly. And so, hopefully setting a good example for other people to encourage other people with more information that he has to come out, because a lot of information he's been coming out with hasn't been specific to any one event that he knows about. It's a lot of what he's been coming out with has just been super helpful. Hey, if you really want to FOIA something, for this type of information, these are the groups you want to be doing that to. Don't send that request to this group. They're not going to know anything about it. Very practical stuff. Really good presentation. Very, very impressed with him. But like I said, just getting to know him, can't say I know him well, but we'll say that I am somewhat biased and somewhat defensive of him, and that I do like John quite a bit.
John, I want to ask you in regards to Mr. Ramirez and you having the opportunity to talk with him. Where does he getting the information about aliens and hybrids walking among us, and it'll be natural in the future?
So basically, he one of the things that John's really good about is he divides his presentations up as to, this is what I knew from when I was in. This is what I knew about, as a result of trailing knowledge that existed from me departing. And then this is the information that I am speculating on based on all of my years of knowledge and all my years of experience and blah, blah, blah. But I am speculating, right? And so I would need to go back and listen specifically to his wording when he was specifically talking about the hybrid section to be absolute sure. But my experience has been with everything he's been talking about in this realm. It's that he doesn't take anything that any information he's given and immediately throw it out. Any information he's given, he puts in a gray box, right, and waits to see if there's ever supporting data for it. And so he ends up, entertaining a lot of really challenging, hypotheses, and some of them end up being true. So I think what he's saying is that, if you believe the evidence that's out there about these types of creatures, and no competing evidence arrives to say otherwise, and we continue to grow this lane of knowledge, then you should see something. And so I think this is just part of his speculation part of it. I don't think it's based on anything. I mean, like I said, I have to go back and listen to it to be really sure. But historically, he's been really clear to say that everything I'm saying when it comes to this kind of stuff, this is all speculation based on my knowledge and what I learned when I was in there, but not based on what I learned while I was in there procedurally, operationally, that sort of thing.
All right, Nicole, I want to bring you in here. We're talking about John Ramirez. We have heard over the years so many different spooks come out of the closet, so to speak, to all of a sudden be information givers to the UFO world, whether it's about UAP, whether it's about government cover-ups, and now about aliens and hybrids with John Ramirez. How do we take these former spooks or retired spooks seriously, considering when we know they're still all under NDAs? That's the biggest criticism someone like Luis Elizondo takes, is his NDAs. All right, Rick Doty comes to mind, and there's many others who have come forward over the years. So how do we take a new person like John Ramirez and put some trust in his words?
I've kind of been on both sides of the fence of this. I think when you're dealing with any of these people, and you named Lou and Richard Doty, and I, off the top of my head, over the last couple years, I was thinking of D'Souza, who's really come out with ultra terrestrials. I believe he was with the FBI. So, I mean, this isn't anything that's new to our community or new to the field at all. And I think I'll fall back on what I usually think. And their testimony or what they're bringing to the field, if it stands the test of time.
I got to bow out for a second.
Welcome to the community. So, yeah, I mean, we've even gone back and forth privately and a little publicly with our friend Bob McGuire and what he used to do. So, I mean, and whether or not he has intentions or not intentions, or if he's still working or not working. And I think that's always like in the back of everybody's mind is, are they truly in our community because they're still curious and they want to find out more? Or are they some sort of like plant and they're still reporting in, or they're still on the job, I guess you could say. So.
Good comment from John Music in our chat room. Some people are being very skeptical of Ramirez because they say there's no hard evidence and he's so new. Not fair to him, but he still should be heard and talked to a lot more. What's your opinion of that, Nicole?
I agree. I mean, it's often a stance I take with Mr. Doty. Everybody, you know, kind of crawls out of the woodwork and says, just shut him off. Nobody talk to him. He'll go away. And I'm always the opposite. I'm like, talk more. Keep him talking. Ask. Everybody needs to talk to him more, because I firmly believe the more people talk, the more they'll either trip up or they'll continue to tell the same story. And you know, over time, I think that gives validity. So I think the same with Ramirez. I think if we keep talking to him and he keeps sharing and, you know,
right,
time will tell.
Sonny from Paranormal Chop Shop. Should we be trusting any type of spook or former spook?
Man, that's a hard one. For me, that depends on their terms they left on. If they left because they got in trouble for saying something, then yeah, you should trust that guy. You know, maybe you should probably, yeah, because if you got in trouble for saying something and then you get terminated for that, it was probably something you weren't supposed to say. So he's going to maybe be mad and keep saying stuff. But the ones that maybe retired, I'd say, let's say they retired from there, maybe not those guys. You know, they might still be protecting who they worked for. Everyone, especially if they're team players, you know.
Very true. Very true. But I think the hard thing is, you know, for so long, Sonny, these people, you know, made the commitment to protect the United States government and the military and its secrets for a lifetime. And now all of a sudden we're supposed to believe them when they say, trust me.
Yeah, that's I have a hard time trusting them too. But that's why I say the ones that left on bad terms, maybe you can trust those ones. But the ones that didn't, those are like the team players, like you said. They swore to keep those secrets, and I think they will to their grave.
Chad Smith, would you like to rein in on this?
I was just going to add in that I think we, like Nicole was saying, I think we should just listen to them as much as we can and just keep drilling them with more questions, because it seems like if they are fake, then if you keep asking them enough questions, they're going to eventually back down, or they're going to answer something the wrong way, or you'll catch them at some point. But yeah, I don't think it's a good thing to take them out of the equation, because any information is good information, even if it's bad. And even if they come out to be fakes or spooks or whatever, I think you should just keep drilling them with more questions and see what they have. And I'm Chad Smith.
Thank you. The Chad Smith, everyone. Okay, Michael Schratt, let's bring you in here if you don't mind, my friend, because I really want to get your opinion on this. I mean, you have seen this through your research, where through NDAs, through interviewing people, that you have been able to see the cleanliness from the dirt when it comes to the higher-ups involved where the information lies. How are you responding to people like John Ramirez, just coming out, former CIA, people like Luis Elizondo or Rick Doty. Now, I'm not saying they're bad people. What I'm saying is, for a long time, we weren't supposed to trust the spooks in this field. And now, all of a sudden, here we are having to put our faith in them for information.
All I would say is, where's the physical evidence? Where is the gun camera footage? Where is the 8x10 glossy? Where is the debris? Where are the bodies? The vaults where they keep this. We just need the physical evidence, regardless of what they say. We've got to get something more concrete to move this field forward. That's just been my thought for so long, that we just can't have more CE1 or CE2 sighting cases. We've got to move this whole field forward, and nothing short of physical evidence is going to do it, no matter who it comes from.
But Michael, in everything you've researched over the last couple of decades, do you feel comfortable in getting UFO news from somebody whose job it was to poo-poo this topic for their career?
I'm skeptical. I think the best way to do it is have no single point failure. When you can interview 3 different people from 3 different locations and times, and they all describe the same thing, those things I think you can bank on. I wouldn't just put all my eggs in one basket for one person. So that'd just be my policy, how I would run it,
All right,
yeah.
Let's bring in Jim Goodall here for that same question. Jim, you have met a lot of smart people, and you've met a lot of shady people in this entire field over the years, and we have talked about some of this behind the scenes and well off the record regarding everything. For you, when you see somebody like John Ramirez come out, start talking aliens and hybrids, or you see Luis Elizondo explain that, he would love to open up his mouth and open up his brain to the public, but can't because of his NDAs, but these are gentlemen who've been on the inside asking us to trust them at their word. How do we do that?
Again, like Michael said, we where's the beef? To quote the old Wendy's commercial way back when, where's the beef? We need something we can put our hands on, something we can bite into. But along the same lines, I have a dear friend who works for the NSA. She's been at Alice Springs, Pine Gap. And when Tucker Carlson came on and said we've been visited by craft not of this earth, and same with a supposed someone from the federal government, I sent him email out. I said, "Hey, do you believe in UFOs?" And I mean, within a second, I had a response. He says, "Why? Did you see one?" I said, "No." She said, "I can't talk. I can't, especially on this type of platform, but they're here." I said, "Can you expand upon that?" I said, "No." But she's in the know. She would know, and I trust her. I've known her for 18 years. But I haven't had a chance from that conversation to sit down with her when there's no recording devices, no one listening in what she's saying. If you're dealing with security service, if you're dealing with the NSA, virtually everything you say on a telephone call, or everything you send out an email or a text or whatever, they see. That's stored. And they have the computers. The computers are looking for keywords because they're monitoring everything. But they'll actually flag somebody who mentions something about something that may be classified. So, the people that had worked on it, who had signed non-disclosure agreements, depending on...
On December the 3rd, I tested positive for COVID. I was to the point where I really couldn't even walk.
She was admitted to the Tupelo Hospital. That's where she remained for 82 days.
That was the first time they told Reggie he could come see me.
I nearly lost my wife. I mean, that's real. There ain't no false information. And I don't want to see you lose a loved one.
Sponsored by Delta Health Alliance. Go to getyourshotms.org.
Brought to you by Noggin. Need a little extra help building your child's math and reading skills? Their favorite characters from Nick Jr. shows like Paw Patrol, Bubble Guppies, Blue's Clues, and Blaze are here to help.
Let's get to work!
And they're in Noggin, the smart and fun learning app, where activities are designed to grow the skills your child needs to succeed in school and in life. Fabulous! What's even more fabulous is that you can claim a limited time holiday offer of 99 cents a month plus taxes for 3 months by visiting noggin.com/iHeart. Start your free trial today. $7.99 a month plus taxes until you cancel after free trial ends. Visit noggin.com for terms and conditions.
On what kind of fight they want to fight. I think they would, like Lou or some of the other people that supposedly were in on the inside. If you just came out and blatantly said, "Okay, this is what I have. Here's hard evidence," even though you've signed the non-disclosure agreement, I think they would be hard pressed to fight you. They may try to discredit you, like they did with Bob Lazar. They did everything they could to make him look like a sleazebag, and he's not. And again, my friend from NSA, she wants to talk about it, but she's still employed, so she won't. But she did indicate they're here, and and she has no reason to lead me astray or to feed me information that was false. So I have to believe they're here. But there's just been way too many events happen that we know happened. We know it's been covered photographically or on video, and it never goes anywhere. It disappears. A courier takes it to Washington, D.C. You never see it again. There has to be someone on our side of the platform, if you want to call it that, that's willing to stick his neck out or stick her neck out and produce some hard facts, some hard evidence. And I see all these videos and these pictures taken. It's a pixel. Yeah. It may look like a triangle. It's moving around, but it's not. You don't have a stationary object to use as a to determine how much that thing is moving around. And until we get someone with really good glass, with a really good camera or a video camera that's 5K or better, or someone actually brings in a dead body of an alien and presents it to the public on a open forum, could be Spaced Out Radio. I mean, it's only a matter of time. I think we're getting close. I think the world has gotten to a point where disclosure has to happen, and hopefully it'll happen before I'm still on this planet.
I think you're living forever. You've got that gene, man. You're living forever.
I'm going to be at least 100. I know that.
That's a lot of partying left. A lot of.
I have too many family members that made it to 103, 105, 107, and I'm going to be 77 pretty soon. I don't feel like it. I can go out and dance and party like the young kids. Maybe not as long, but you have to live life. You have to enjoy it, and I do that every chance I get.
And that is why you are a legend, my friend. A legend.
Yeah.
And everybody loves James Goodall. Everybody loves
James.
Not
everybody. I can name a couple ex-wives that wouldn't say that. So
yeah, they don't count. They don't count. I'm saying in the UFO. I'm saying in the UFO world. In the UFO world. We've got like 2 minutes to go. And Nicole, I'm going to finish this segment off with you here regarding, John Ramirez. Is this somebody you think, though, looking at everything, that we need to pay attention to?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think everybody has an equal voice in our community. So, yeah.
I know.
Does he have a book out yet? Let's buy the book. Is there a documentary yet?
But
I have not looked into his claims yet and what he said, and I should have from the other night, but I didn't. So at this point, I'm still very neutral on him. But yes, I say contribute to the conversation. The more the merrier.
The one thing I do like about him is he is going right at it. He's not saying that I have to hide behind my NDA. Like John said, he is challenging the NDAs. He's pushing them to the limits. Add to the fact that he's getting into ET life. I mean, this could be smoke and mirrors. This could be someone who figured, you know what, I did a lot of this. I can make some money off of television and book deals and documentaries and the conference tours, and maybe somebody like him could. Why not? He has the experience. And you know what? It's a secondary career for him, and by God, he's allowed to do it. Let's just hope for the sake of all of us, as we get ready to go for break here, that he's doing it on his own, for his own good heart. Let's put it that way. And let's hope that he can make $1 million off of it, even though it's very rare to do that in this field. It's only been done by one person or two, I believe. But nonetheless, we're going to continue on with hour 3 of the SOR Round Table tonight. We're going to get into India next. What is going on in India with UFOs? We're going to hit up Nicole Sackage, the Chad Smith, Michael Schratt, James Goodall, 2 living legends in this field, Sonny from Chop Shop, and the fedora-wearing John Hudson when we return for hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio next. All right, we're clear.
Hello, this is your
All right, so what the hell's going on in
Ron
India?
Bumblefoot Thorn.
Yeah.
What's that?
So I'm not read up on the whole India situation.
Neither am I. That's the beauty of this
Don't
show,
be shipping.
Get out your Google machines.
I already did. I have a tab opened. Just says UFO India news. I'm trying.
And that package you were talking about, was that a joke?
No,
They said you started to ship drugs.
Lately, I have been getting these phone calls that everybody gets from usually the officers of Pakistan, where they're saying they're police officers or they're part of the IRS or up here the CRA.
Yeah.
Well, now they're getting into Canada Post up here. All right, and they're saying that they've received a suspicious package with your name on it, and the package, when opened and tested, saw that it was filled with cocaine, marijuana, and heroin. And
damn.
So I asked the guy the other day, because I'm literally getting 1 to 2 of these calls a day right now. And I asked the guy the other day, I said, what the F are you doing with my heroin? Give it back. And I got hung up on. I try and play with them as much as possible. I do. I really enjoy it. The longest I've gone, I try and time how long I could go. The longest I've gone is 17 minutes.
Oh, man.
That's good. 17 minutes is good.
Mm-hmm.
I get the insurance ones. They tell me that my auto warranty is about ready to expire and I need to renew it, and then I'll answer the phone and they ask what vehicle I drive, and I tell them it's a '69 Buick Electra. They hang up on me. They're not insuring that car, so I didn't know my warranty was up.
I can't wait till the
car's only 50 years old.
I can't wait for the warranty ones to hit up here. They haven't hit here yet. I'm very much looking.
Constant.
Oh, Purpose and Grace says she's got one for Chad Smith. I don't know what that
What's
one
that?
is.
What's she got? $100 bill?
Maybe the $5 bill for 5 minutes of being Chad Smith.
I'll take it.
Maybe I found fake news earlier. I can't find it anymore. But I heard that India formed their own government UFO department. And they were like, take that, Pentagon. Seriously, maybe I dreamt it.
Purpose, you can forward any extra cash to cashapp.com/I'm Chad Smith.
Hey, this is my show. You ain't hitting up my audience for your money.
We'll take good care of it. I'm put it to good use. We'll spend it in the SOR.
You're going to find
shop.
a way to get flagged when you're not even on your channel.
Yeah, you're going to get my channel flagged.
I'm going to get blocked like NASA, like Sonny does on the NASA page.
Yeah, they don't like me. They don't.
After
like
the show,
jokes.
can we go to the NASA channel and just, I don't know, send a bunch of...
What were you telling them, Chad? Posse up? They didn't.
In the
They
NASA
didn't
chat?
want to have nothing to do. Yeah.
I don't know. I was trying really hard not to get blocked. Like someone I know.
Yeah, I know. No jokes there.
It's no jokes over in NASA.
Oh, cut the music, please.
I did. It was
Bad.
a commercial. Sorry.
Bad.
Sorry. I'm looking. It was a commercial for Spaced Out Radio.
I know. I can't find that story either, Nick.
I can't either. It's gone. I saw it this afternoon, and I was like, that'll be good round table talk, and now it's gone.
Maybe, because I heard something about that. Maybe you're having a Mandela effect.
Maybe they took it back.
Right?
Oh, but here, Pentagon creates. Oh no, this is just in the Times of India, talking about the Pentagon movement.
The Lazarus Project. He'd pay $5 an hour for an interview where we just prank call people. Sonny, I know what we're doing tomorrow.
That is something Goodall would do.
We'll bring Goodall on.
You used to be able to crank call people. You can't do that anymore.
Hey, this is Jim Goodall. We're contacting you today about your car insurance, your car warranty. Jim's muted. We're probably missing out on some gold right now.
Hold on. Let me get him off there. Okay, sorry, Jim.
Am I unmuted?
Yeah.
Your goal for lunch.
Oh, okay. No. We used to, call someone up just random and says, "Is your refrigerator running?" Yeah. I said, "Well, you better go catch it." Or that's what you do when you're 12 and 13 years old and you're bored. And there's no such thing as the internet, and there's no such thing as cell phones, and there's no such thing as any of the stuff that today's kids have. And my doggy is looking around like she wants to do something. Is that right, Scarlett?
Okay, guys, I'm going to put you all on mute. We're going to get going here momentarily. Thank you to all of our super chatters tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you to our new listeners. Hi, Magnus, in our chat room. And here we go, everyone, with the show.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio. Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Panmnesia. Panmnesia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We continue on through the top of the hour. It's the Paranormal Roundtable, where we bring in a bunch of really cool people who are from around the communities, and we talk about the subjects that really lit up the last month. Yeah, it's a good show and a great panel. We have legends in UFO and U.S. military aviation, James Goodall and Michael Schratt. We have Sonny from Paranormal Chop Shop, Nicole Sackich, researcher and author, John Hudson from the Unbiased UFO Report, and the Chad Smith from the Chad Smith Podcast. And we're going to go off to countries around the world here, because as loud as the United States is being about UFOs right now, and this has become, over the last couple of years, a very hot-button topic, we haven't seen a lot of other countries, whether it's Canada, India, the United Kingdom, France, or any other ally, even countries like Russia, talking very much about the entire UFO subject. Why has this become such an American thing to do? And John, I want to start with you on this one, bud, if you don't mind, in regards to this topic, because it seems like the rest of the world really doesn't give a care. They're all reporting on what's happening in the United States and UFOs, but nobody's asking their own government, hey, what do we know?
No, and I think part of it is, I think part of this is historical. I think a lot of this is because of when a lot of this policy emerged. Were around at the same time that you had things like Roswell happening and so forth, and so you had a lot of these things kind of co-emerging as far as the formation of different agencies and so forth. And so I think that what you really have is you have an artifact of essentially the Cold War, where you had essentially, Southern, or Eastern Bloc type countries, where if they received a crash of some sort and they were part of a larger, communist, organization, it would get sucked up into that organization. If they weren't, if they were an adjacent organization, they would call into the highest ranking Soviet local group and let them know about the crash and hopefully win favor for turning that crash in, right? Same thing would happen with U.S., satellite countries, right? South American countries, we had numerous reports of essentially, a crash happening, the local military cording it off, and then the U.S. military showing up and them being the ones that actually take over the site, clean it up, remove all the material, and get out of there, as if there's some sort of an agreement. And this was even really alluded to in an episode of Unidentified with Elizondo, where he was talking to some of the South American countries and what agreements they had in place with the U.S. government. And so I think that in some cases you have countries that had prearranged agreements. I think in some cases you had governments that didn't have prearranged agreements, but would take crashes as bargaining chips to favor influence with us or with another country. And so I think in the long short of it is that none of that results in there being any benefit to going public about any of this information for anyone else except for us, right? And even for us, it's questionable. I don't really know how beneficial it really is for everyone here to be talking about it, but at least here you can argue there is some benefit for it, because if you want to build an industry around it, you need to start talking about it, right? Whereas I think, everywhere else there's until like no one else believes they're going to build an industry around this technology until we do it first, essentially, right? And so a lot of this is just kind of a weird chicken before the egg type situation where it's just, but it is just a matter of time.
Well, I would hope it would be time, because I know that members of the Canadian government are talking about it behind the scenes, but nobody is willing to go public with it. James Goodall, let's bring you in here, my friend, for this topic, because I'm very curious about why you think that we haven't seen the rest of the world start jumping on the UFO, UAP bandwagon like we have with the United States. I mean, just a month and a half, 2 months ago, we saw this get into the House of Lords on the floor for topic, and the defense minister of England basically said, yeah, we're not talking about this topic. We don't have time to talk about this topic. They hammered her with questions for almost 2 hours, and the Minister of Defense for England literally shut them down every chance that opposition got. So why do you think other countries are so meek when it comes to talking about the UAP phenomena?
I mean, we're just, our country is just now starting to talk about it with some regularity. But again, I don't think we're the ones that are in charge of disseminating the information. I honestly believe that it's them, whoever them, they may be. And to quote the Israeli UFO researcher, we're not ready for it yet. I mean, when I go outside, and I know, Dave, where you live, when it's dark out there. But here in the community I live in, we don't have any street lights. So you go out in the backyard, even in the front yard, it is dark. And I was out there last night looking up and said, what would my reaction be right now if all of a sudden, right in front of me, there was a gray or a reptilian or a flying saucer, a UFO? What would my reaction be? And I wasn't quite sure. I don't think I'd be terrified. But I don't know. We're not ready for it. That's basically what I believe in. And I'm sort of rambling right now.
That's okay.
What do you think, Michael?
Well, you'd think that over 75 years would be enough, But to answer the question, the reason why it's so prevalent in America is for two reasons. Number one, it's entered pop culture American icon status. That's number one. Number two is that the intelligence communities are pushing the giggle factor on the mainstream media with regard to this subject matter. That's why it's so prevalent in America. And then getting back to the crash retrieval that we were talking about earlier, I want to highlight one retrieval operation that I think is significant because it has a tie-in to the 41 Cape Girardeau crash retrieval. So I want to just set the site picture here. It's December 1963. It's literally a few weeks after Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963. In fact, Kennedy may have actually have seen this craft. I can't prove it. And I've always wanted to know, what did Kennedy know? When did he know?
Hey guys, we're using Poshmark and you should too. Do you have things that you don't wear anymore? Poshmark is seriously the easiest way to make room in your closet, make some cash, and also snag a bargain. It's the coolest reseller with the best brands like Lululemon, Nike, Reformation, and Gucci for up to 70% off. DJ Khaled has a closet and Serena Williams. Download the app today. Enter Podcast 10 when you sign up for $10 off your first purchase on Poshmark.
Brought to you by Noggin. Need a little extra help building your child's math and reading skills? Their favorite characters from Nick Jr. shows like Paw Patrol, Bubble Guppies, Blue's Clues, and Blaze are here to help.
Let's get to work!
And they're in Noggin, the smart and fun learning app, where activities are designed to grow the skills your child needs to succeed in school and in life. Fabulous! What's even more fabulous is that you can claim a limited time holiday offer of 99 cents a month plus taxes for 3 months by visiting noggin.com/iHeart. Start your free trial today. $7.99 a month plus taxes until you cancel after free trial ends. Visit noggin.com for terms and conditions.
And who did he tell? Those are the questions that I want to get answered. All right. So December 1963, this Marine is called out of bed at the dead of night, and he's told to board a plane with blacked out windows. They depart at night from Cherry Point, North Carolina. They fly approximately 3.5 hours from Cherry Point, North Carolina, to an undisclosed location that even he didn't know where it was. Could have been a Navy facility. So there's that naval tie-in again. The U.S. Navy is in back of all this. It could have been an Air Force facility. We don't know. He goes to this hangar or this large building, and these hangar doors open up, and what he sees when he looks inside that hangar is a 40-foot diameter dish-shaped craft that's about 15 feet tall. The entire exterior has this highly polished chrome metallic exterior configuration, and this is essentially a fat hamburger. It has 9 elliptically shaped opaque windows wrapped around the outer circumference of the craft, and there's a 1-inch lip between the outside exterior part of the craft and the outside of the opaque window. He mentioned that there was this lip there. And then near the bottom of the craft, he said that there was a seam, and the seam or entry hatch to this craft was so fully integrated into the craft itself, you could not put a razor blade into this seam. It was so perfectly integrated. Now, what they did next is his job was to guard this flying saucer in this hangar for a period of 2 weeks. And this was relayed to Leonard Stringfield. And this is by way of a gentleman who I spoke to who actually interviewed the Marine. I was able to speak to the gentleman who interviewed the Marine, but I have not been able to track down the Marine myself. Now, I do know his first and last name, and I know where he lived back in '86. He said that they had built scaffolding, and they had propped this flying saucer up on scaffolding, and then they built a catwalk around this entire thing so that you could have these white lab coat technicians who are trying to breach the hull of this craft. They were able to walk under it and walk around it. Now, he also mentioned that they were trying to breach the hull of this craft, and they tried 3 separate avenues to enter. Number one, they had a diamond tip drill bit that they were trying to breach the hull, and they actually put this drill bit right in the seam of the entry hatch. And I've got a map here that shows you all the attempted points of entry. Now, that failed. Second thing they did is they took an acetylene torch to this thing, and they put it on the skin of the craft, had no effect whatsoever. Then the third thing is they brought in 2 18-wheeler tractor trailers with this large electrical power device on it. They both had about 3-inch thick electrical cables that went from these 18-wheeler tractor trailers, and they fed through into the hangar up to this craft itself, and they had a laser device. They were shining the laser on the skin of the craft. When they moved the laser away, and this is all back in December 1963, they moved the laser away, and it was warm to the touch, but had no effect whatsoever on the craft itself. Now, it gets a little bit more interesting. He also mentioned that there was a white circle painted on the concrete floor of this facility, and his job was to shoot to kill anyone who tried to breach that circle. And there was a U.S. Navy admiral who got within a few seconds of getting shot because he had just about breached that circle. There was one time that was relayed by this Marine. He was in this facility with the craft alone just one time. He had a small Minox camera, and he took a photograph of this craft propped up on the scaffolding. Unfortunately, back in '83, there was a flood where he was living. That photograph was lost. And on the last day that he guarded this thing, he said that they were putting it on a lowboy tractor trailer. They were putting a tarp over the craft, and then they put chains over the tarp, and they were moving it to the next location. Now, while all this was going on, he did hear something to the effect that bodies were recovered and one was still alive. Okay, so to continue with this story, we were talking about Charlotte Mann and the Cape Girardeau retrieval of 41. Charlotte Mann was good friends with a man named 4-star Major General Melvin F. McNichol. He was the base commander at Tinker Air Force Base, and he was good friends with Charlotte Mann. They both had a interest in UFOs, and so Charlotte came to the general and said, "General, we have this mutual interest in UFOs. Why haven't you told me anything? Are you still my friend?" And so this general turns to Charlotte Mann, and she mentioned this at the IUFOC in Phoenix about 2 years ago. General turns to Charlotte and says, "Charlotte, if you ever repeat what I'm about to tell you, I'll deny it, and it could ruin my career." So he told her that, number one, he did see a flying saucer. This is from the general, and it was located in the west. Then he said that the whole flying saucer was propped up on scaffolding, and they built catwalk around this thing. This is exactly what the Marine had just talked about. Then he said that there were at least 3 bodies were recovered and 1 was still alive. This is very similar to what the Marine had said. So when I heard this from Charlotte Mann, I thought, wow, I've really got a case, because we've got 2 separate individuals confirming virtually the identical case, separated by time and space. And so I thought, wow, there's something here.
Ta-da.
That's heavy, Michael. That is very heavy. Nicole, when you hear Michael drop some serious bombs like that about what's going on behind the scenes with everything, I mean, how do we as a public react to that? How should we react to that kind of news?
That's loaded. I can't think like a normal person in the general public anymore. I get riled up when I hear the secrecy, the blatant secrecy. But is there a more direct question you want to ask me?
No,
I kind of
that kind of was my question. I could kick it back, though. I could kick it back.
Kick it back.
All right. John Hudson, bring you in here because Chad Smith is too busy looking pretty on camera right now. It's just, he's all googly-eyed, right now. But, John, we'll get you in here because we really want to...
a nice background.
Yeah, he does have a nice background. He does have a nice work. With what Michael is saying, about what's being hidden and what really is the game plan behind the scenes here, how much are we really just seeing the tip of the iceberg with the knowledge that's really going on behind closed doors?
Oh, I think that well, sliders might get adjusted. You're always going to have these sliders that occur. Like, you take, for example, you'll take like little attributes that you'll hear people talk openly about, say like the F-22 program. What you'll find if you dig a little bit was that was actually something being said about like the F-117A program. And so, very often like little attributes, little things about certain programs, certain planes, certain technologies, they often don't come out till later, and they come out attached to the wrong plane, and they come out attached to the wrong technology, but they do eventually come out. And so you have these lags that occur where, there's like this, maybe it's 20 years, maybe it's 50 years, whatever it may be, where these technologies kind of, evolve and come and so forth. And so essentially this kind of mass technology infusion that might result from a recovered craft might shift this, might shift this balance, might extend one of these periods, might shorten one of these periods, might create bigger periods, but you're still going to end up with the same sort of overlap because at the end of the day, the U.S. military still wants to have at least a 50-year lead on every other country on Earth, and that's just policy. So, I mean, until that policy's changed, you're always going to have some window where the coolest, sexiest stuff is going to be hidden, and it's only going to be the stuff later on that actually gets out.
Right on. Let's go over to Jim Goodall here. I mean, when you and Michael talk, the information is just so heavy, Jim. It really is, and I mean that to be extremely complimentary to the hard work that you two have done regarding this. Have you ever, when you hear Michael talk, and I know Michael is like a son to you, you're like a father to him.
They talk about baking, and they just talk about baking all day. And,
I'm sure they talk about baking and what to put in a good mimosa and everything like that. But
right.
But when you get information that is so in depth, like what with Michael was just saying, how do you just sit there and take it for what it's worth without dropping your jaw and saying you got to be serious here?
Well, first of all, no one does it better than Michael. Nobody. I don't care who it is. And I've known Michael, 20 some odd years, longer.
Yeah.
But the first time I ever saw him give a presentation was at the function that I met you at in San Francisco in 2020, March 2020. And I've always enjoyed, Michael's stuff. No one digs into it any deeper than he does. And I was blown away. Not many people, I'm not impressed by a lot of people, but I was really impressed by Michael and what he had. I mean, and the stuff he had and the documentation he had to support what he was saying. So, I mean, I absorb all this in. I never started out as a UFO person. I'm a hardware person. I'm a person who likes to snoop in the government to see what kind of gee whiz airplane they're going to be flying next, or what kind of special project they're doing. But that area of interest just sort of came together with things that go bump in the night and UFOs. I mean, I'm interviewing General Gatlin. He's talking about chasing UFOs in an F-94. I'm interviewing Dave Fruhoff. He's talking about chasing a UFO in an SR-71. They just sort of go hand in hand with each other. And maybe it's because of the type of people I hang around with. You know, all my wives have said, you don't have any normal friends. And I have to agree with her. Normal people are really boring. They are. Yeah, I know a couple people that out there that they're like a white box with black lettering on it at the store. There's nothing to their personality. There's nothing to what they do in life. They exist. I've always wanted to do more than exist. I've always loved to push the envelope, and I've been referred to that. Well, that son of a bitch Goodall. He's at it again. And even my bosses in the Air Force and the Air Guard would say the same. They just shake their head. Oh God, Goodall's at it again. And it's. I know. I absorb. I love it. I live for information, and I'm an information sponge. But when it comes to digging in military aircraft, I'm incredibly good at it. When it comes into digging into previous UFO events, no one does it better than Michael.
I agree.
So
with you.
we're a fairly good team. We're like the dynamic duo. I'll be Batman, you be Robin. Okay. I guess I know. I'd be Abbott.
We got to go to commercial here. We got to go to
Yeah.
commercial here, but I will say this: if you ever want to embarrass Michael Schratt, give him a compliment. It's the greatest thing. It's the greatest thing.
Yes.
Michael Schratt, James Goodall, Chad Smith, Nicole Sackage, Sonny Conway, and John Hudson. We got another half an hour left in Space Out Radio's Roundtable. We're going to go the distance right after this. And we're clear.
I'm getting butt sprung. I've been doing this for 6
Space
hours.
Out Radio fans.
Today.
I know you.
I hear you.
6 hours.
I hear you, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it was 3 hours. It was 3 hours with Sonny, or 2 hours and 45 minutes, and now it's going to be 3 hours here.
This is my third time on Spaced Out Radio in a week. I feel like I'm having deja vu. Like Lincoln, everybody else is different.
Jim, don't forget Jim, don't forget you have an invitation to the after party.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, I'm up for it. You name when and where, I'll be there.
Don't worry, Dave pays us a lot, Jim. You should be getting a check in the mail.
Oh,
you know how Sonny's after parties are.
Yeah.
Look at that glorious face.
Isn't that beautiful?
There's got to be a
That
way
is
to
where
get this
all
off
our subscribers come from, right there.
Now, if he had blonde hair and he shaved his beard off and he had a little striped shirt, he looked like Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown. That's my new icon. I'm gonna have to change it up.
I'm gonna have to work on that, Jim. I consider that to be a request.
Get working on it, John. Get working on it. I'm sure.
I see things that other people can't see. I guess I don't know.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
It'll be on the Facebook page in the morning. I'm sure.
It'll be a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Take notes.
All right. So let's get an opinion here during the break here. What do y'all think of Dave's new mustache and chin hair here? Let's be honest.
Woo!
Clean shaven
I love
on
it.
the sides.
Oh, you did a whack job on that.
I did.
I love it.
Look at those cheeks.
I love it.
I love
Yep.
it.
This is what it's all about. Needed
Yeah,
something
if you
different.
didn't have the hair on your head and your face, we wouldn't know who you were.
True. Had to try something different tonight.
when my son was 6 months old, I had a mustache for 20 some odd years, and I had shaved it. I had a cold, so I just shaved it off. And I came home from work, and my son was he was in his crib. You could hear his daddy's home, and he's jumping up and down. And I walk into the room, and he burst into tears. Here's something or somebody that sounded like his dad, but that caterpillar under his nose is gone, and he wouldn't. It was almost 2 days, and he wouldn't have anything to do with me. And that's my baby. That's my son James. I mean, so I actually got some. I immediately started growing, but I got some highliner from my wife and covered my nose. And he sort of looked at me with the jaundiced eye, saying, "You sound like my dad. You look a little bit like him, but that caterpillar under your nose is fake."
You pulled a fake Derek.
Oh, yeah.
That's what you did.
I've never seen my father without a mustache. Ever.
Ever?
Me neither.
Ever. My dad, in the 60s, when his grandmother, or either his grandmother or grandfather was about to pass away, and it was his grandmother, and she loved him with a mustache. Thought he looked so cute. So she asked my dad to keep his mustache, and so my dad has always kept his mustache.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I shaved mine off because it turned pure white.
I don't know what that's.
I know I have white. I know I have white on the top of my hair, but this has just pushed me over the edge, and I just said no. I gotta be Disco Jim, so I gotta.
No, it's one of the beautiful things about being a guy is that, like, depending on what the age frame you're in, if you need to look a little older, you grow a beard. If you need to look a little younger, you shave it off again. You need to look a little older, grow it back. You need to look a little bit younger, shave it off again. You have all these different age frames where your beard's different colors and different thicknesses, where you can bring it in and bring it out depending on how much influence you want to have over your age. It's a wonderful tool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I shaved it because I started looking too much like my grandfather, my Sicilian grandfather. Yeah.
Just a quick update here. I was sent a great picture here. Hold on, where am I? Sent a wonderful picture here. You know, I don't know where we got this, but we're gonna put it up here just for a quick second. There he is.
Get that out of here.
Yeah, there he is. That is Chad Smith with his 5 head.
I'm taking Big Willie's wrench away.
He doesn't have a 4 head. He has a 5 head in that photo.
Yeah.
Big thank you to Coral, Cat Chaser, Third Phase, Mark, Tim, Fabster, John, Phil, Jenny, Willie ×2, Swamp Dweller ×2, Chad, and Thomas, Apollo, Chris, and Apollo again for the super chats. Really do appreciate it. And it's a great way to support what we do on this show. Hello, veteran Black Dragon. Good to have you here. Here we go, everyone. Rounded third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and now on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. For the final time tonight, we introduce the panel of the SOR Round Table. We have Nicole Sackage, researcher and author. From the Paranormal Chop Shop, Sonny Conway. He's looking badass tonight. We have 2 great historians when it comes to aviation. I think they are the best in North America. Michael Schratt, James Goodall. From the UAP Report, here on Spaced Out Radio, John Hudson, and the Chad Smith from the Chad Smith Podcast. And I want to get into stories here for a second, guys, because James, right before the break, you kind of teased us, James Goodall, about the SR-71 pilot chasing a UFO. When did this happen?
He was flying.
Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Or as we like to call it, the can't have just one deal. Mix and match a sausage biscuit, sausage McGriddles, McChicken biscuit, chicken McGriddles, or crispy hash browns. Want 2 sausage biscuits? Buy one, get one for $1. Want a sausage biscuit and hash browns? That's cool too. Choose more of what you love. Buy one, get one for $1 at McDonald's. Prices and participation may vary. Valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined with combo meal.
The holidays are here, and this year, there's no better way to share the magic of the season than with a festive bouquet from 1-800-Flowers.com. 1-800-Flowers has holiday bouquets guaranteed to make everyone on your list smile. Right now, you can get 24 holiday light roses for just $39.99. Send a Merry Christmas with 1-800-Flowers. To get 24 holiday light roses for just $39.99, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/tune-in. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/tune-in.
The SR-71 out of Kadena, Okinawa. It was late 72, early 73. He was on a night training mission. He was flying at 78,000 feet at Mach 2.7, 2.8. That's sort of a sweet spot to get there fast, but you don't thermally stress the systems by going to Mach 3.2. And it was about 11:30 at night. He's going in a straight line. It's about a 3/4 moon. And off to his port side, his left side, was a 3/4 moon. And all of a sudden, through his peripheral vision, he gets something metallic glinting off the light from the moon. It's about 5 or 6 miles off to his right and probably 6,000 or 7,000 feet above him. And he thought maybe it was another SR-71. So he contacted on secure voice the command post at Kadena, Okinawa, and they said, "No, you're up there by yourself." He said, "No, I'm not. I got company, so I'm going to go take a closer look." So he advances the throttles. Now, the Blackbird likes to fly fast, really fast. And we're talking about 50 years ago to go 2,100 miles an hour. So he's advancing the throttles, never taking his eye off the object. On about a 10-degree bank, he starts climbing. His backseater gets on the intercom and says, "Hey, Dave, we have company." He said, "Yeah, we do. I'm going to take a closer look." And he said when he was about a couple thousand feet below it, and still a mile or so away from it, this thing took off and left him in the dust like he was heading the other direction. He figured it left him between about 8,000 miles an hour. What he figured, it moved that fast, and he lost track of it going between 180 and 200,000 feet. Now this is 1972. The Vietnam War was still hot and heavy, and a vehicle unknown to Dave or anybody else leaves him in the dust. So fast forward to 1980, he retires from the Air Force. He gets a job as facility manager at Area 51, and he knew a lot of the guys that were there, because when you're in the spooky community, you pretty much stay in it. So after he was there for a while and he felt comfortable with it, he started asking around, "Do we have anything that will leave an SR-71 in the dust?" And everybody he talked to, absolutely everybody said, "Well, it wasn't flown here. We didn't build it here. We didn't do anything here." So what he had, he was chasing a UFO, and it outran him. And it's just, I mean, it was when I asked him about it, he said I asked him if he believed in UFOs. That's when he said, "Yeah." And then he told me about his story, and we need more people like that. There are pilots out there, both commercial and military, that have had first-person encounters with things they can't explain. And I got to believe that in today's world, I'm talking about 2022, 2021, and today's right now, the cameras we have on our cell phones are second to none. And I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for for somebody to violate their company or their military's protocols and just say, screw it. I'm not going to go through anybody at work or at the base. I'm going to go right to, Spaced Out Radio or someplace similar to show the world, hey, we're not alone. Can you explain this? And then I sort of fall back onto what Ben Rich told me just before he died. And those who didn't know who Ben was, he replaced Kelly Johnson as the president of the Lockheed Skunk Works. And we were friends for a quarter of a century. And Ben said, I've already said it once tonight, but he said, we have things out in the desert that's 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. And we were talking earlier about stuff we see today is old hat. It's developed 20 years ago. What we have today, you're not going to see for another 20 or 50 years. And that's what he was talking about. But he said, we have things out there that are 50 years beyond what you can comprehend. And if you've seen movies like Star Trek or Star Wars, we've been there, done that, or decided it wasn't worth the effort. I said, Ben, you want to expand upon that? He said, no, which is very typical Ben Rich. And then he had the nerve to die on me 10 days later. So I never did have a chance to interview him in detail about what had transpired in his 50 some odd years in aerospace.
Right. Michael Shred, I want to bring you in here, if you don't mind, regarding this, because you have done a lot of work regarding secret military craft, and you have talked in many of your lectures about the SR program going up to like an SR-75, I believe, the Aurora program. What is really flying out there that we have no clue is actually in airspace that is man-made?
I really have to stay close to my historical UFO cases, and I will relinquish that question to Jim.
Well, they've been talking on the news that we have an SR-72, a Mach 5 or Mach 6 airplane. Now people say, well, gee, that's pretty outrageous. In 1982, Kelly Johnson, the founder of the Skunk Works, he was the Leonardo da Vinci, the Nikola Tesla, and the Albert Einstein of aviation. He had no peers. He was a one-off. But it was Engineering Week in Minneapolis for Honeywell Military Avionics Group, and the director of engineering invited me to the banquet to hear their keynote speaker, which was Kelly Johnson. And Kelly said, speed costs money. He said, we have the ability today. Right now we're flying at Mach 3.2 on the Blackbird. But we can go to Mach 4. We can go to Mach 6. We can go to Mach 8. We can build something today and go to Mach 12, Mach 16. Speed costs money. How fast do you want to go? And that's also a drag racing comment too. Speed costs money. And if you throw enough money in it, and this is 1982, he was saying that we have the ability to fly a manned air-breathing platform in our atmosphere at Mach 16. And what's Mach 16? It's got to be, 12, 13, 14,000 miles an hour? I mean, that's really cooking with gas. So he was a visionary. Before the A-12 and the SR-71 was developed in I think it was 56 or 57, he stated that the U-2 will become vulnerable, within a year or two, and then May 1st, 1960, they shot down Francis Gary Powers, and he predicted then that the replacement for the U-2 would be a platform that flew between Mach 3 and Mach 4, between 80 and 120,000 feet. And that's the environment that the SR-71 and the A-12 Blackbird flew in. So he was predicting what was going to happen 10 years or 5 years out. And when he talked in '82 about going to Mach 16, there's no reason why we can't have a man-made craft flying that fast.
Do we have one?
Yeah, I believe we do, and I believe it's been referred to as Aurora. I was at the north fence line at Area 51 outside of Rachel. This is 92, 93 time frame. And John Andrews and I were going out of the back door of the little alien. We're going to our luxury suite, which is a single wide. And we heard this noise. It was so loud that you could be clinically deaf and have no auditory nerves, and you could feel the pulsing on your body, which we believe was the Aurora and the donuts on the rope. About 3 weeks later, I have John Lear's truck. I'm parked on the road to that goes outside of Rachel. I'm not trying to hide anything, but I'm in there. I'm sleeping, and one of the pavehawks comes down and tries to screw up, blow dust all over John's truck and knock his antennas off the top of his truck. And about 10 minutes after that, they figured I was going to be leaving. There was the same incredibly loud pulse detonation type of noise. It was 18 miles away. And they were flying, it appeared to be F-15s and F-16s in the air going in and out of burner to try to mask this incredible sound coming out from the Aurora or whatever. What are you shaking your head for? Yeah, the Chad Smith. So, I mean...
Not at you, Jim. Dave just keeps putting me up there.
Oh, okay. But, I mean, I had a NASA guy ask me, he said, hey, I didn't think I didn't think the XB-70 was flying. I said, well, there's only one of them left, and it's at the Air Force Museum. He said, no, but I've been seeing this big white Delta aircraft with canards, flying over the desert, outside of Edwards, really quite high. But when you have visibility unlimited, even if you're at 50,000 feet, you can make out the airplane. And I believe that's the mother airplane, the SR-75, that the tester model company developed by John Andrews came out with back in the 90s, along with their XR-7 penetrator, which was the Aurora. And that's the one that Ben Rich was criticizing when he said, I'm disappointed in John's Aurora model. I said, why is that? He said, well, Mach 12 airplane fueled by liquid methane. Now, I never said Mach 12. I never said fueled by liquid methane. It said you'd have to have an internal volume at least 4 or 5 times the size of John's model. So what Ben Rich told me is Aurora is fueled by liquid methane and flies at Mach 12.
So what do they do? Just pull up to the closest farm, fill up on cow poo, and then go right back up in the air, or what?
No, air refueling a cryogenic fuel is probably less dangerous than the old JP4, which was like trying to air refuel liquid dynamite. But it's no big thing to air refuel liquid hydrogen or liquid methane or whatever propellant they want to use.
Well, they would then have to have their own specialized KC-135s or KC-10s for refueling, right?
Right. It's just like the SR-71 family had the KC-135Qs. They had a separate, isolated fuel system that carried their JP-7. And JP-7 is Nicole has her finger up. I can't hear you.
I wanted to ask a question real quick because the Chinese have been in the news lately with their supersonic jet that they have. Is it a jet? Am I saying that right? But I was wondering at what speed do these machines lose their maneuverability? As in, like, I think these supersonic ones pretty much can just go in a straight line, right? They can't zig and zag, otherwise they lose structural integrity.
Right. I mean, you are limited by the laws of physics as far as a conventional platform is concerned. You know, the SR-71, you're flying at 3,400 feet per second. That's 3 miles every 2 seconds. No, 2 miles every 3 seconds, excuse me, or 43 miles a minute. I mean, going from LA to Washington, D.C. in 47 minutes on this retirement flight. The SR-71 and any craft that would be operating in the same environment, you're limited to about 1.5 Gs as far as the force in turning and banking. An SR-71 at Mach 3.2 takes 180 miles to do a 180.
Wow.
Because you just can't stress the airframe. Now, at an air show in England, I think it was Green and Common, an SR-71 out of Mildenhall. The airplane had just come out of depot. It was fresh. Everything is new. There was a young SR-71 pilot, not necessarily age-wise, but as far as in the program. And he's flying over this air show. You know, it was the International Air Tattoo, as they call it. It's a big gathering of aviation, military aircraft in England. And the guy probably pulled about 3 or 4 G turn. I mean, a tight bank. You could hear the bolt heads popping off the 715 splice.
Wow.
On the airplane. You could hear it on the ground. It was a bang, 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 bang. So immediately, hey, abort, land, get back to Mildenhall instantly. So they brought a crew out from Palmdale. They went up into the fuel tank where the joint is. And sure enough, he popped the heads off half a dozen of these titanium bolts. I mean, they're big.
Yeah.
So they said, so we have to fly it back to Palmdale to fix it. So the test pilot said that, well, as long as we don't exceed 1.5 Gs, we'll just fly it back at Mach 3.2, and that's what they did. But the airplane structurally cannot take something. Can't take.
Right. My mind is wandering to like the accounts of the Tic Tac that started spiraling, and then like shot off at such great speed. And I was just trying to maybe compare that to something known in our arsenal that can go that speed and also zig and zag or corkscrew up and down. So it's amazing.
The SR-71 was flying at 2,100 miles an hour in the mid-1960s. That's a long time ago.
Wow.
Technology has didn't stop with the development of the Blackbird.
Right.
And I got to believe that the follow-ons to that program led to Aurora and could have led to the Tic Tacs. And the Tic Tacs, and some of the maneuvers they're making, it's not out of the question to be able to do that.
Right.
But they may not be manned. They may be unmanned platforms.
And that's the second place my mind goes is, we were just talking about manned craft. And if we spin this into just the military's drone program, I mean, that's amazing. I know drones can reach faster speeds than most people think.
Well, Lockheed had a drone that we flew over China in the late 1960s, early 1970s. It was called the D-21. It was the program was called Tagboard. And at the time it was being developed, it was more classified than the Manhattan Project. And they were developing an unmanned platform. See, one of the terms and conditions of the release of Francis Gary Powers, who was shot down in the U-2 over the Soviet Union, but one of the terms and conditions, in addition to the spy swap, was a cessation of all manned overflights over the Soviet Union and its satellite allies, the Warsaw Pact. So Lockheed, Yes, sir.
We got 1 minute, guys.
Yeah.
1 minute, so we'll get you to wrap up.
Lockheed developed the D-21 drone to fly at almost 2,400 miles an hour after being launched initially with a Blackbird, but operational with a B-52. And they had four flights over China. But unfortunately, like Kelly Johnson said, it was his most successful failure. He had state-of-the-art airframe and 1940s electronics.
I hear you there. All right, I want to say a big thank you to each and every one of our panel tonight for hanging on out with us and having a great UFO talk all night long. It is the month that was in the SOR Round Table, and we are real blessed to have both James Goodall and Michael Schratt, two of the best aviation historians in North America, if not the world, right now joining us from the Paranormal Chop Shop podcast. Sonny Conway always looks good in a toque, not a beanie, a toque. The fedora-wearing John Hudson from the Unbiased UFO Report, always glad to have you here. Nicole Sakic, always one of the top brains when it comes to UFOs and the news that is happening around the world. Thank you so much. And, of course, the Chad Smith, everyone. Yes, the Chad Smith. That's how we do it here on Spaced Out Radio. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, and on Twitter. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends, Nicole, what do you got for us?
We own the night.
Absolutely. Yes, we do. Mr. Bumblefoot, take us home, will you? Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friend, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.
The following message comes from Data IQ. Data IQ enables today's top organizations to infuse AI into the day-to-day of their business by making data-driven decision-making accessible to everyone. Whether solving for the mundane, like automated forecasting or what is the optimal number of widgets to buy, or undertaking moonshots pushing the limits of today's technology to grow and innovate. Data IQ brings collective success from AI at scale, while also unlocking individual creativity. That's everyday AI. Join more than 45,000 people worldwide driving results with Data IQ, the platform for everyday AI. Visit dataiq.com to learn more. That's dataiku.com.
Brought to you by Noggin. Need a little extra help building your child's math and reading skills? Their favorite characters from Nick Jr. shows like Paw Patrol, Bubble Guppies, Blue's Clues, and Blaze are here to help.
Let's get to work!
And they're in Noggin, the smart and fun learning app, where activities are designed to grow the skills your child needs to succeed in school and in life. Fabulous! What's even more fabulous is that you can claim a limited time holiday offer of 99 cents a month plus taxes for 3 months by visiting noggin.com/iHeart. Start your free trial today. $7.99 a month plus taxes until you cancel after free trial ends. Visit noggin.com for terms and conditions.